levanto en la mañana dando gloria a mi Señor por todas sus maravillas y su grande bendición. Oh, qué grande es mi Cristo, mi divino Salvador. Por eso yo le alabo y le canto a mi Cristo con todo mi corazón. Bendeciré a Jehová en todo tiempo, su alabanza estará de continuo en mi boca, porque Él es Rey de toda la tierra y digno de suprema adoración. Alábale, alábale, hermano, gócese delante de la presencia de Jehová. ¡Aleluya! Le doy gracias, Padre eterno, por su grande redención, porque usted ha prometido derramar más de su unción. Santificaré mi vida y le agradaré, Señor, porque un día ya muy pronto, porque un día ya muy pronto la trompeta sonará. Bendeciré a Jehová en todo tiempo, su alabanza estará de continuo en mi boca, porque Él es Rey de toda la tierra y digno de suprema adoración. Al son de este mariachi, qué bonito es cantar, porque ya muy prontito nos iremos a reinar, nos iremos a reinar, nos iremos a reinar.
He buscado y tú me encontraste. Me he perdido y tú me salvaste. Cuando fuerzas me faltan, tú me levantas. Un nuevo día está por comenzar. Cada mañana te alabo otra vez, porque tu misericordia llena mi ser. A donde sea que vayas te seguiré, oh alma mía, recuerda que Él es fiel, Él es fiel, sí lo es. He buscado y tú me encontraste. Me he perdido y tú me salvaste. Cuando fuerzas me faltan, tú me levantas. Un nuevo día está por comenzar. Cada mañana te alabo otra vez, porque tu misericordia llena mi ser. A donde sea que vayas te seguiré, oh alma mía, recuerda que Él es fiel, Él es fiel.
yes, I mean like only I can do. When I start thinking I'm so far from you, I wake up to hear you whisper that's not true. Well, good morning, mercy. You call me worthy. Feels like the sun shining on my face. Living's good this side of grace. I feel it working. Goodbye to the hurting. You woke me up, put me on my way. Hallelujah, it's a brand new day. Good morning, mercy. Yeah, I'm still learning to trust and follow. I won't worry what tomorrow's gonna bring, 'cause you hold it all there in your hands. I'm lifting mine up now, 'cause it makes me sing. Good morning, mercy. You call me worthy. It feels like the sun shining on my face. Living's good this side of grace. I feel it working. Goodbye to the hurting. You woke me up, put me on my way. Hallelujah, it's a brand new day. Good morning, mercy. Yeah, hallelujah, it's a brand new day. Starts all over when daylight breaks. You're giving me joy, it makes me sing. Good morning, good morning. Glory, hallelujah, it's a brand new day. Starts all over when daylight breaks. You're giving me a song that makes me sing. Good morning, good morning, mercy. You call me worthy. It feels like the sun shining on my face. Living's good, the side of grace. I feel it working. Goodbye to the hurting. You woke me up, put me on my way. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Good morning, mercy. Good morning, mercy. Good morning, mercy.
Okay. I'm about to have a good day. No matter what they say. Sun is shining down on me. Birds are singing praise. I'm about to have a good day. In every single way. The God who made the universe knows me by my name, so it's a good day. Baby in my arms, walking through the neighborhood. Living in the present, not woulda, shoulda, or could. I remember back when I was low as a rug. Now I'm standing up, look at what my father does. Turning all things new, gray skies blue. Hear the church saying, won't he do it? I know he's got my back. That's why I'm singing that. I'm about to have a good day. No matter what they say. Sun is shining down on me. Birds are singing praise. I'm about to have a good day. In every single way. The God who made the universe knows me by my name, so it's a good day. It's a good day, no, it's great. Everything I prayed for didn't come in late. I got all I need and I didn't have to wait. Ask me if you love me, you didn't hesitate. Turning all things new, gray skies blue. Hear the church saying, won't he do it? I know he's got my back. That's why I'm singing that. I'm about to have a good day. No matter what they say. Sun is shining down on me. Birds are singing praise. I'm about to have a good day.
Amen, amen, amen. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. It is, it is, it is. Even though it looks cloudy outside, like Brother Joe said, hey, there's, the sun's behind that cloud because you can see the light coming through it. So praise the Lord. God bless everyone. Today. Well, I'm excited for today because we, of course, have the special guest that we've been talking about this week, and we're looking forward to just conversing and talking. We've already been talking a little bit, and it's fun. I mean, it's good. This program, I think you'll leave here. It seems like everybody left here comfortable. I don't think we've ever had one, ever. I've never had one. I've never had one where somebody said that was awkward or whatever it was. So, so I think of course, you guys know this stuff too, which I really appreciate. The glory goes to God and everything that we're going to be talking about, being able to go through. Because I think you guys all have, some stuff to talk about and some people can hear about. But just so understanding, and I think I mentioned it too in the program this week, but, I really have enjoyed having your dad on and the conversations we've had. And I have a lot of respect for just those conversations because they're good. I mean, we're both able to talk to each other and go through things. But I also have a lot of respect too because you guys are in the church. You guys are serving God and I know it's challenging. I know it's been challenging. I know it's always been challenging in life. It was challenging for me growing up too and things and but you're here and your families are growing together and praising God together, and I think that's a thing to talk about, right? It's because how you got here, how you got to this point in your lives, and glorifying God. And I found it very interesting, which I didn't know, Sister Delilah, which I'm going to pass it on to you guys so you guys can say hi. But I didn't know about how long you had been gone from your sisters, how long you hadn't been with them until you mentioned that. So that's a kind of a story in itself to talk about, and. We had an interesting program on Mother's Day a few years back. We had all the siblings in here with my mom. And so I just sat back because I'm 8 years difference younger, right? And so I just sat back and I let them just tear into themselves because they would always they're only a year apart. So they were always, having their challenges together and stuff like that. So I kind of, they're like, Lori, why did you pick on me? Or, you tied me up that one time to the tree, Lori, remember? And of course, Lorenzo and Chrisanne, and it was just funny. It was a good program on that, but I didn't really have much to add to it from that standpoint, their stories. But I know you guys probably have some, funny things that you guys have experienced and gone through, but I'll go ahead and pitch it to you guys. That way you guys can just introduce if you want to go from left or from your right to left. You guys can start introducing, just saying hi to everybody if you want to start out. Karen?
Praise the Lord. Glad to be here, and hopefully this is a blessing to anybody out there.
Amen.
I don't know what we're going to talk about, but
praise the Lord.
Let it be a blessing.
Well, your testimony was a blessing. That's kind of what pushed it too. I mean, and getting you guys on here, I know what an amazing testimony, and that's one definitely, I'm sure, one of many that you guys have all experienced. Yours also too, Sister. You guys have had some experiences, some life experiences in your family, and your dad has talked about some too. So I know you guys have all experienced something, seen God's hand in your lives, and that's pretty powerful. But thank you for being on, Sister.
Padre Cristo, good morning. Well, I don't know. Let's see where today takes us.
Amen. Come on. Don't be scared. Hey, you're on the ride already. It's kind of like when you're on a roller coaster ride. You're like, you're on it now. Like you're like, what do I do? I don't know. Do you guys get on roller coasters?
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone?
I used to, not anymore.
Not no more. Yeah, I don't like them, but I'll get on them. And I used to do it. I usually do it for my kids now because I'm like, you got to do it. And so, but it's that, anticipation getting on, and then you're on. It's like you're on. There's nothing you could do now, right? You're kick. It's like, hey, so just ride it now. So How about you, Miss Kayla?
Good morning. God bless everybody. I'm going to be like you today, brother. I'm just going to sit back and let them two hash it out.
Smart. Okay, I can see the one that's the quick steady here, right? No. You guys, feel comfortable in talking. But if you guys want to, maybe talk a little bit about where you guys grew up and how you guys each, how you all each got here, and maybe each perspective from everyone. First of all, what's the year separation between y'all?
So there's 5 years between us.
Wow. Okay.
And then there's 8 years between them. So 13 years between us.
Wow. Okay. So, that's pretty neat, though. So you're 13. That's like a perfect age for you to have your baby, right? Have a little baby sister there.
Yeah.
No.
I didn't think so at the time, but
You didn't?
But now I do.
No, you didn't. You did.
No, I didn't.
For real? She didn't?
I was mad because I wanted a brother. Well, I was mad because it was embarrassing that my mom was having a baby and I was 13.
For real? Nah.
And then the story repeated, and I did the same thing to my daughter.
Ah.
She was 13 when Elias was
Oh,
born.
that's right. Okay, that's
and
great.
she was also embarrassed.
Ah.
So, and then once she was born, and I saw it wasn't a boy, I was like, she's ugly.
Wow.
So I didn't like her for a few days.
Oh,
So
man.
Even though I was 13, when my mom stayed home with her, the first couple of weeks, Karen stayed home and helped my mom because I didn't want anything to do with her.
So, Karen, are you the one that was more? Were you excited?
Yeah.
Because you're 5 years old, right? You're 5. Different. What's the difference?
8.
Again? Oh, 8. So 8. Yeah, that's your living doll, then, isn't it? Yeah. So will you drag her? The normal dolls dragging her around the house.
Yeah, so I mean, I was excited. I would help my mom do everything with her.
Yeah.
Lila was like,
Nah,
no.
I ain't having it, huh? I want to hang out with my friends, and now I can't. This stuff. So teenager, huh? It was a teenager side.
Yeah.
So do you think that if you would have been a little bit younger?
I think I would have been excited. I think it was just the age. It's a hard age.
Yeah, because then that makes sense, though, because Lori, I think, was your age when I was born. And she was excited, too. She was the one that always wanted to drop me. Well, she did.
She did
multiple times. So, but, yeah, that's interesting. I didn't think about that then. So I guess there is a little threshold, we'll say, of age. And Kayla didn't care, right? You're just like, somebody just give me a bottle, just give me my mamon when I need it, right? Doesn't matter who. So, your parents ever talk about why the distance in ages?
They said it was insurance.
Oh, really?
So they had
They pay
insurance
for
when
it.
I was born, and then they didn't have insurance for a while, and then they had insurance again.
Mm-hmm.
So then, and then they had insurance again.
It makes sense. That's not. I mean, I remember when we had Gabriel, I think I paid $200.
Oh wow!
Because of the insurance that we had. It was amazing, and he had to be in the children's hospital for a while, and we definitely wouldn't have been able to have survived any of that without good insurance, because he was there for a week in the Ronald McDonald, I think, and then we had to go to specialists for a while, for about 6 months, I think, maybe. But he had a catheter and all that stuff, so Jennifer was having to do not catheter. Is it a catheter? Right? Catheter, right here, where they do the medicines. Right, yeah. So they put one in him, and he has a little scar still where it's from. My dad, it destroyed my dad when he saw him, because my dad, having cancer, had seen that, and my dad got really emotional when he saw, because he's 2 weeks old, and he has that little, so that was, but insurance makes sense, so, and it worked out, right? Do you guys think it worked out?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay, so here's the thing that I've heard before. So, Kayla, you've got to be the smartest one with the experience that you've heard from them and troubles that they got into. So, they call you the tester. You test your parents, right? You have probably the motherly tendencies when it comes to, because you've seen it. You're like, whoa, what's she doing here? and so you're kind of mid-range. And then Kayla is the one that would go out a little further, than come back because she kind of knew. And your parents were probably already just like, hey, just don't cut any limbs or nothing like that, But is that kind of the way it kind of worked out for you guys? Is that you guys all kind of watched each other or stuff like that? I know in our family too. My dad was already tired with me, like with Lorenzo. It was like, you can't. And then for me, it was like, go ahead. Just be back by 9:30. If I was going to the football game or anything like that. Lorenzo wasn't going to, like he talked about. Of course, the first one Lorenzo goes to, he's underneath the bleachers almost smoking marijuana. So what do you think about that? Yeah,
That's
Lorenzo.
not fair. He's not here to defend himself.
That's fair then. No, he's testified on that one right there. He was like that his dad, my dad was like, and then the very first time he's like, the very first experience, friends, the guys are like, hey, let's go underneath it. It's like, maybe I should not be at these games. But so talk a little bit about your upbringing. So I know now the age difference, but where everybody was born at, where you guys kind of lived at, and all that stuff. If you guys want to.
So we were all born and raised in El Paso.
Okay. You mind grabbing that? Grab it from right here, and then you can just pull it closer to you, because that's better.
So yes, we were all born and raised in El Paso,
And
I was there until I got married, and then I moved here.
What age was that?
I was 25. 24 or 25? I think 25.
Wow.
And then I moved here, and they stayed in El Paso up until
6 years ago.
Yeah.
Okay. So what year was it that you moved here?
I moved here in 05.
In 05, okay.
And they got here 2018. So I was over here, 8 years?
Yeah. And was it when you first moved over here, was there a lot of trips that you were making? Because no? Kayla says no.
Not too many.
I think initially there was
yes.
more, and then as time went by, we would see her less and less and less.
Yeah. So early on it was, and it's because
Yeah.
you were missing also all the nice little street foods, all the stuff that you guys were used to already, right?
Yeah, and I think, in the beginning I didn't work, and so it was easier for us to go. And then once I got a real job, then it wasn't as easy. But then you start missing it a little less. Like, you get used to it. And
Yeah.
so at first I wanted to be over there all the time. And then as time goes by, then you're like, oh, I want to go home already. Like,
You missed.
it's not
you
home
missed.
anymore.
Yeah.
So,
That happens. It's like I think with anybody it happens. You get used to now your new home. But so you guys all born in El Paso, right?
Yes.
You said, and talk a little bit about, I guess, that sense of your family, because I know it's funny. Your dad hasn't talked about his dad that much, but I've heard about his dad a lot from people. Yeah, don't get me wrong. He talks about him. It's not like he doesn't. It's not like there's a problem. I'm not starting a problem. There is not a problem after this. Okay, but what I mean is like
disclaimer.
Yeah, no. But I've heard good things. I've heard like, and I don't know. Maybe it's just we don't get into that side of it. But
We actually lived next door to my grandpa and grandma.
yeah. So talk a little bit about growing up in El Paso. I mean, what's the pros and cons of growing up in El Paso? You guys could chime in if you guys want to too. To feel comfortable. What's the things you?
There's really nothing to do in El Paso.
Really? Because it's a big. What's the population in El Paso?
I don't know. I mean, it's grown a lot, but
I don't know.
but there's really nothing to do, and the thing is that there's nothing around it. There's nothing close by, really.
So to travel, it's not like, oh, let's go to San Antonio.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because you guys know the statistic about being where you're at, that you're like 4 hours away from the coast, Dallas, Houston, like you're in that range.
Right now.
So you guys are like in the heart. This is the heart of Texas. Like if you look on a map, it's so crazy. If you're in the bullseye type of area where if you're throwing a dart in the center of Texas.
Yeah, and El Paso's not like that.
Yeah, El Paso. I mean, that's
so the closest fun thing to do, I guess, would be going to Ruidoso.
Yeah,
that would be the closest. Even then, what was that? Almost 2.5 hours, 3 hours.
That's a beautiful place. That's a place that we took Gabriel to when he was a baby. He fell in love with horses there. There's a horse museum there, I guess. And so, but
So
yeah.
The only thing we would look forward to is camping, I guess. Or does
Oh,
and then
really?
in the snow tubing.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And then there's sands, right, somewhere.
Oh, yeah,
Oh,
White
White
Sands.
The White Sands, is that nice?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. So we've never experienced any of that stuff too. So there's nothing to do in El Paso. You heard it here
Other
first.
than
I mean, other than eat, yeah.
Okay, you've heard it here first. Don't ever go to El Paso. People in El Paso, we'll put their Instagrams here so you guys can make comments
I
to them
mean,
directly.
When a lot of people go for the mountains, but
Yeah.
I guess when
They-
you live
they-
there,
It gets.
doesn't.
And when you say mountains, they're real mountains or are they
Yeah.
hills?
No, they're
Other
mountains.
Yeah, because these are like hills too.
Yeah,
And
these are
we
hills.
we'll say mountains sometimes. And people are like that come from like the Colorados and Utah, and they're like, where? I don't see no mountains here.
Yeah,
so
once you
there's
start
some-
driving in closer to El Paso, you start seeing the mountains.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people do go for that, and
Yeah.
it is pretty. But I guess when you live there, it doesn't.
becomes- yeah.
It's kind of like Longhorn Cavern here. I've never been there, and I live.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
There. People come from all over the place.
Yeah, to go there, right? That's true. That's true. Well, I forgot that. I guess I've been to El Paso a couple of times. I was young. I was young when we went, so I don't know if I remember it like truly. I might have been, 6 or 7 years old when, so I don't think I remember like anything. Lorenzo and Lori and Grisan probably remember, but so going back to you guys lived right next to your grandpa.
Yes.
Pretty close family, like your entire family, or
Yes. A lot of cousins, aunts, uncles.
they're
and
all there.
A lot of them are.
Yeah.
And we all went to church together. So yeah, it was
Yeah. Well, my mom had 3 siblings there, and then my dad, I guess it was like half and half.
5 siblings, I guess.
5 siblings there, and the rest pretty much were in Pennsylvania.
Brother Lorenzo's listening too, so he's defending himself. But I'm pretty sure that Brother Lorenzo knows all this stuff already, doesn't he?
Probably not.
He said he made it sound like because I was.
Well, I mean, we
he didn't
talked a
tell me
lot
any-
about.
He didn't tell me to ask anything, just to say that. But I know you guys.
Yeah.
I know you guys have dinner and we've talked about stuff because he's
Yeah.
mentioned.
So he probably knows a lot about us, but I don't think we've ever talked about this kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. Well, then maybe that's why he's looking with his popcorn now. That way he can. But so a lot of family. I love your dad and your mom's story. I thought that was a really cool story.
It was the first we heard it.
Really? No.
At least me. I had it.
You guys?
I mean, I kind of knew, but
You guys don't ask. Mom,
not
tell
all
me.
like the details.
Don't ask Sister Jennifer our story. I can almost like repeat it because it's like it's impactful. He made me cry, and then he called me back 2 years later. It's like I know already. She loves to tell it, so she will tell it if you ask her for it. But yeah, I thought that was a great story when your dad mentioned it. It was good. It was pretty neat. But it was the first time you guys heard it.
In more
In
detail.
detail, yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're a little more reserved.
Yeah. If we asked my mom, she didn't. No, I don't know. I don't remember.
No.
They don't remember.
They don't remember. But my dad remembered.
Yeah, and your mom remember some stuff too because he got home, he got in trouble. Like you didn't say this. So no, I thought that was a great story. I love hearing stories like that. I love hearing stories. But let's talk a little bit more about the dynamic. You said your family grew up with a big family around. I guess most of your family was there, and then I hear Andrew's testimony. I guess some family was in the East Coast too. Is that correct?
In Pennsylvania.
In Pennsylvania, right? Yeah. And so, but where the majority of it, the highest percentage is in El Paso.
Well,
Well,
Yeah,
yeah,
I
it was
guess.
at that time. Yeah.
Oh, they've all kind of moved away,
Well,
or just you guys moving, or what?
yes, and now there's some here.
Yeah.
Some in Colorado, some in El Paso, and some in Pennsylvania.
Is there still some in Pennsylvania still? Okay, that's good. So you, and your mom's family on her side.
Some are in El Paso and one brother in California.
Okay, but your mom, was she born there? Was she raised there also?
She was born in California, but I think she
but
was pretty much raised in El
yeah,
Paso.
she was like really young when they moved
Yeah,
to El
when
Paso.
they moved there. Yeah, I thought that was a really cool story. Like I said about how your dad and your mom met, but your mom and your dad pretty much church their entire life, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Well,
I think my dad at 13.
13.
Oh yeah, your
started
dad
going
13, right?
13.
That's right. I'm
And
sorry.
my mom, I think she was.
But your
born-
mom, right? It was your mom. That's what
Yeah.
that your
Yeah.
dad had mentioned.
Yeah, her
Yeah.
dad was a pastor.
Yeah.
and-
But they both took a while to get baptized.
Yeah, yeah. It took them a little bit.
I think I was like 4 or 5.
I
when
would
my
say
mom-
more than a little bit, but
I was like 4 or 5 when my mom got baptized.
Yeah. 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 I mean, first of all, I think on that, I think there's something powerful too. Also, when people make sure they're ready for it, and that I think that's a good thing too. You know, there's some people that might rush. It's like rushing to get married. It's like you need to make sure you understand it completely. But also, I think that there is some also perspective to this. I don't know how you guys feel about it, where some people, you know, are afraid to do it because they're like still not committed 100%. I'm saying that there's different ones. There's some that are like, I want to make sure, you know, let's make sure I'm right in this, because they're so respectful for it. And then there's other ones like, it's not making sure I'm right in this. It's just like, maybe, you know, I'm not 100% whatever it is. So I think that there's that difference too. And I think there was a point in, at least what I saw growing up, these are the kind of conversations I love to have with your dad, because I think there's perspectives that sometimes you missed being so in it, that you didn't look at the people that were so in it. It's like, you know, there's sometimes some hypocrisy is that I'll mention, you know, like, you can't have a TV in your house, but we're sneaking out to friends' houses and watching war stuff because it wasn't controlled.
yeah.
And my dad was always like, I'm not going to listen to that. You don't guard my house. I guard my house. I've got to manage my kids. And if they're going out to kids' houses, I have the control to turn it off. And it was kind of like unorthodox at the time. Like, I can't believe this brother's not, you know, supportive of it. But he was like, look, my kids aren't watching stuff on the TV. I'm there with them. I have this. I'm the one that turns it on and does it with them when we're little. But there's things like that, you know, growing up, you know, those are the conversations that I'd like to have with your dad, is like, the church sometimes didn't know how to introduce things or explain things. And that's the thing where I'll mention a lot. I don't know if you guys have heard me when I say that, you know, it's hurt people too at the same time. And this is the thing that we have to really, the more they can see Christ before they see, you know, the laws you're supposed to be following. It's like the laws are introduced before Christ is. It's like, come on. It's like saying, hey, you're going to do all these things. Oh, then let's get married. It's like, come on. I mean, what kind of relationship is that going to be, or what we'd want? So, but talk a little bit about that, I guess, growing up. Because I love hearing you guys all were in the academy, in an academy. But talk a little bit about growing up in the church. For you guys, like your guys' experience. Like I said, I have my own personal opinion. They might not be the same as Lorenzo. Lorenzo was a little bit older for me, but I'm like a little mosca, right? Like paying attention. I could sing, even though I was playing around, I could still hear. Like you guys too, you still hear conversations and all that stuff. And not only that, then I start to look back and I go, man, people aren't in it anymore. The kids. Where are the kids to some of these pastors, and what happened? So that it's concerning for me, right? Because I got kids. And so I need to make sure that I'm like with them in the journey and not. I remember my dad telling me that one time, and I don't know how you guys have experienced that, because it seems like you guys had some good experiences with it in the bond as far as seeing you guys here. But I remember my dad telling me one time, stop doing so much stuff with the youth. Pay attention to your family. Pay attention to your kids. And I remember when he told me that, I was like thinking like, you know, who are you? I remember you, your ministry, right? But then now that I'm older and more mature, instead of at that time when I'm 22 years old and I'm over here like questioning why is he telling me something he didn't do. Now I'm like thinking like, that's why he's telling me, because he has regrets. He has regrets of, and I could see that transition in my dad, you know, through the years, is like where he was like, the advice he was giving us, it's like we could look at him like, I don't remember seeing you do that. But then I was like, I could see somebody's hurt, regret, speaking out. And I don't know. I don't want to get into the full, but whatever you guys feel comfortable with in talking about some of those things, because I think you guys, first of all, I think you guys are amazing that you guys are involved the way you are. From the beginning, I don't even think I knew y'all or I said hi to you. And you guys were like wiping tables down and putting chairs up and jumping in. It's interesting. We're about to get into the book of Ruth this Monday. That's my favorite book in the Bible. It's my favorite book in the Bible. It's my favorite book in the Bible because it speaks to everything that today's society is like struggling with, which is like the thinking that you've got to see somebody to impress somebody. If you hear what Boaz says, he's like, I heard about you. I heard what you did before he even saw her. And she's all crusty, sweating and all that stuff. And he's like, I heard about you. There's something powerful about that. Mm-hmm. And it's a beautiful representation of God and his mercy. And so I love that one. There's so much to pull from that, that I'm looking forward to talking about that. But that was awesome to see on. And again, this is the respect for your dad that I'm seeing for your dad, is that I can see the character that, you you guys have. And I know there's struggles. You guys are probably like, I'm glad you've seen the good side.
It's all flowers.
Yeah, you guys like, I'm glad you've seen the good side. No, but no, in all sincerity, I mean, you guys can talk a little bit about that, your experiences, if you don't mind. I'm talking a lot right now to kind of show you what you guys can talk about. But I don't know what your experiences have been. Talk a little bit, maybe start out with the academy, how that was for y'all. Because you guys never public school?
I did half a year in second grade.
Wow, okay.
I guess about the same time, pre-K.
Rough year, huh?
We moved out to Pennsylvania for like half a year. And so we had no choice. We went to public school then. So I guess if you were in...
No, I didn't.
You went
Paso.
different. I don't know why you... Mine was in second grade in Pennsylvania, but... Oh, yeah.
No, Paso.
But it was when we came back from Pennsylvania and we went back to El Paso. So I guess she was starting pre-K.
Oh, okay.
And then I did it, but it wasn't long.
Yeah, it was.
Any reason why? Was it just because of the move? And
I think it was just because of the move. My dad probably didn't have a job yet and tuition.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did go to public school for a while. We did get to experience riding the bus, and then I forgot my sister at school.
Being left at school.
Oh, one of those moments happened.
Yeah, I was supposed to go pick her up from her class, and then because she was little, right, and then get on the bus and go home. Well, I went to her classroom and I didn't see her anywhere, so I thought, oh, I guess she didn't come to school today. So I got on the bus and I went home. Well, she was at school. I guess she was behind the door or something. So I got home and I'm there getting excited. I'm home and I'm excited. I'm gonna go see my sister. And where's Karen? And my mom's like, stop playing around. Where's Karen? And I'm like, well, where is she? And we're asking each other. And my mom starts getting mad at me. Where's Karen? I didn't bring her.
That's funny.
I thought she didn't go to school. So there we go to school, and she was crying in the principal's office or in the office. I don't know. She was
traumatizing, wasn't it?
She was sitting there crying.
She should get you a nice lunch today or something. Right?
I left her at school.
Some nice dessert, a place that you can
that was
get
a lot of
dessert.
responsibility.
It is. No, it's true. No, look. No, hey, seriously, no, we laugh. But think about it. Back in the day, for, parents to say, guard your sister. I mean, you're like trying to guard yourself, It's like...
How old were you, like 4 or 5? 4? Yeah, so 4. I was 9.
I know that. No, I'm with you. I'm 100%.
I just thought of that right now. I was trying to get out of it.
No, but hey, for think about it for real. I mean, we're like, think about, would you let a 9-year-old today be in charge of some of that stuff, like going to the store, just grab or whatever it is, like, and it's like back in the day, that's the way it was.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys, it's not, you guys probably remember
different.
That. Yeah, it was. Lorenzo tells the story all the time. Where he even said it on the Mother's Day thing. It's like, Mom, you let me ride my bike all the way across the city to Mitos, and she's
from
like,
here, from where?
In Utah.
Oh,
and it was like it was a lot of hills, and it wasn't an easy ride. And he was like, But it's true. I mean, it's like we were
You could
built
do that
different.
back
We
then,
were.
yeah.
I mean, I remember. I don't know if you guys remember this, but Delilah, probably you're there too. Where we used to sleep on the back of the windshield. I mean, the back cars. You know where the
On the top, yeah.
the glass was. We would sleep up there
Up
as
there.
kids on the top and wave at people while they were driving by. We didn't have no seatbelts on or nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Jennifer remembers driving to another state like 4 hours in the back of a truck, because it was only a 2 seat truck.
Yeah, the station wagon's full of kids. And
Yeah. So you guys, we all come from that. So, academy pretty much for y'all the entire time, right?
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
And how was that? How was that growing up for y'all in the academy?
I loved it. No, my experience was. I mean, that's all we knew.
That's
I guess.
all we knew.
But,
So
Yeah.
but I wouldn't have. I don't think I'd have it any other way. Like even like talking to my friends who were in public school, we would do a lot more than them. Like we were always busy.
Mm-hmm.
There was always sports. There was always convention. There was just I don't know why we would. I mean, we would travel a lot with the school. So because El Paso doesn't have. It's not like here, like, there's not a lot of Christian schools, right? So we would travel a lot for sports. Like tournaments were in New Mexico, and like we were always traveling. So my friends who were in public school, they didn't have any of that. It was just like, why are you traveling again? Or like,
Yeah.
They had sports and they were done at 5 and they were back home, and we weren't.
Yeah.
So I think we enjoyed our school years. At least I did. I
Yeah,
don't know.
and it was basically, I mean, I guess to us it was basically lived in our van. We'd just go home and sleep. So it was school, games, church.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we basically would just go home, sleep, next day again.
Wow. Okay. So that it makes, as being young at that time, it doesn't give a lot of room for stuff because you're just busy. You're constantly, what is it? Idleness? There's no idleness.
Yeah.
It seems like based off what you're telling me, because of that, which is good. Like we're talking about. I mean, a kid that's idle, a lot of influences are gonna happen. But you guys were also not in that age of the way influence is now, right? I mean, when you look at it, well, Kayla, I don't know how much experience. I know there's 13 years separating y'all, but I don't think, right, you probably experienced what it is currently.
correct, and I think most of the people that I was with were also brought up like in a Christian
Yeah,
home.
that
so-
helped.
But I also think, because, I mean, my parents would always make sure, like, they would hang out with somebody that had children our age.
No, cool, okay.
But also choose
Wisely.
who it was
Yeah,
gonna
okay.
be. But because they wouldn't just let us go
Yeah.
sleep over and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah.
They wouldn't let us, but they always made sure we're gonna go out with people so that they can play
Yeah.
and stuff like that. But even then, I think because I know in my time they were my friends to say, but later on I find out they're doing things that they shouldn't
Yeah.
be doing, but they would not include me.
Okay.
Like they knew automatically.
Standard already.
Yes,
There's a standard
like-
there. Yeah.
and they would hide it from me so that I
Oh,
wouldn't
wow.
know what they were doing.
Oh wow. Okay.
Which
Were you a snitch? Is that why though?
no, which kind of goes
Just
which
like-
kind of goes back to like my testimony when I had my accident. So I guess I was always telling them no, that's not right, or
Yeah,
always
yeah, okay.
correcting,
Yeah, yeah.
like always being
That's
the
good.
conscience, I guess, unknowingly, because I don't recall doing that. Because I remember after the accident, one of the guys was like, even before that, they were like, "Why aren't you baptized? Like, you're the one that's most eligible here in all of us. Like, you don't do this. You're like, you're the."
Was that a little punch in the gut for you? It's like, whoa,
So he, like, they would always say that because obviously they got baptized before me, and I would be like, nope, no, I'm not.
Yeah.
So they would, kind of not include me to put pressure, I guess, or not to give me that temptation.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. It's a little weird.
No, but that's interesting though. I thanks for sharing that though, because kind of the same for me in public school. So we all went to public school, all of us, because we just didn't have. There wasn't that type of access here. Really, it was kind of weird. Probably was, but it was just really expensive, probably. And I remember like the first sleepover I had. I think I was 13 or 12. So kind of the same, you know, our parents weren't so quick to just let us. And it was weird for me when I slept over at somebody's house too. Right? I was like, somebody else's house. So, but it was also, you know, like the partying and all that stuff, even in high school. It's like I never went. I used to tell the youth, you got to find a roller coaster buddy. And I said, but it's not what you think. And they're like, okay. I you know, when I was younger, I hated roller coasters. So guess who I found? People that hated roller coasters. Mm-hmm. So that's who I'm hanging out at the amusement park. Is people that we can go do stuff that is not going to include roller coasters. Mm-hmm. Well, it's the same thing when you're looking at on a spiritual level, right? If people find people that avoid those things too. And so I had a group of people that didn't, you know, party and stuff like that. And we would go have dinners and what people were. And I remember the first party I went to, it was for 30 seconds. And it was funny. The party hadn't even started yet. They were putting fire, doing a bonfire. And we showed up and this person's like, and he names us, right? You guys are going to be at my party? Because everybody in our school knew that we just didn't do that. And we're like, we'll be right back. We're going to go to Sonic real quick. We never. We're like, we did it. We did it. Nobody was even there. It was funny. They were like, he was, you know, he's like, you're going to be at my. And we're like, we'll be right back. So we were there for 30 seconds and like, yeah, wasn't really. And nobody was even there. So we didn't even know. That wasn't really anything. So, but again, going back to it's just the mind spec, you know, we were able to be around people that I at least found that. And I'm very fortunate. I remember I'm have kids already, and I send them a message on Facebook, the people that I hung out with, and I thank them. I said, hey, just thinking about a couple of things. And I was working with the youth and doing youth ministry, and I kind of thanked them, saying, hey, you know, we survived because we never tasted alcohol or did anything in high school. Yeah. And, you know, one of them was the head cheerleader. The other one, we're both athletic. We're in varsity and lettered and things and popular, you know, had nice vehicles and, you know, hung out around with the preps, as they call it, or whatever. And we didn't have that challenge where it was like to feel that peer pressure. And I mean, but I think it's critical. I mean, now I love the fact that my kids didn't have that either. You know, I mean, they went to third grade or second grade, but that's a nice thing, right? Because you have these good memories like you guys are talking about. And so that being said, so you guys are getting through, each one of y'all different, like in academy? We're all pretty much the same as far as sports, grades, all that stuff?
No, I think everything was the same. I think my experience was different from theirs because the church where we went to at that time was a little bigger. Uh-huh. So we had a lot more kids. Kids that were probably not even from church would go there.
Yeah, our school was open to the public, so it wasn't just church kids. There was kids. Normally they would send the kids that they didn't know what to do with them anymore, or they were expelled from all the schools, you know, and so they would accept kids like that. And so our schools for us it was bigger, and for us it was basically like what we have here. It started off as a homeschool where it was the pastor's kids, all her cousins,
all my cousins basically, and the minister's kids. But besides that,
so it was a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So that's what do you guys prefer now that looking at it? What would you have preferred?
Well, I guess we kind of went through a little bit of both because when you were younger, it was still starting.
Okay.
So then
you've had both experiences. Okay.
I guess
I think she got it more like
when it was already.
For me, it was still more church kids, and I think for her it was.
Yeah, I remember when I was like first grade, second grade, like it was that like literally, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, we were always there at school, church, like so. But you know, it's like you're a family.
Yeah.
Who you're there, like you see them more than you're at home.
Yeah.
Like, you see them at school, and then you're there at church. You're there together,
traveling, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So, so I kind of got both, where it was, you know, smaller, and then as I grew, it kind of like the school grew as well. Mm-hmm. Which she was young when that was the case, but I guess how old were you when we moved to the other?
I was like 8, 9. When we moved to the smaller church.
And so, any main differences besides that? You guys, it sounds like when there was a lot of kids, a lot of the kids might have not have had the structures at home. Maybe when it was a smaller group, it sounds like, or was it the same? Either one.
I think like the differences were that we had more, sports stuff, and she didn't. I mean, you still played sports, but there wasn't maybe as like her teams were not as good because there wasn't a lot to pick from.
Yeah.
Or stuff like that, but
yeah, and I guess when the school was bigger, there's a lot more students, so it's not like you're with all the students at the same time, or you have to, or you have to sit with everybody in lunch together. So now at that point, it's kind of like you have to choose wisely who you're gonna hang out with, even though you're in the Christian school and there's not that many as a public school, but you still at that time it was kind of you have to choose.
And there were still groups too. There was still the weird kids and the
jocks.
The jocks. So there were still groups, and
I guess that's a difference.
I guess she was like here.
That was a difference between us and Kayla, I guess, with
so she might have been like here, like we're going to a convention. If you're a girl, you're playing volleyball. It doesn't matter if you like it or you don't like it. You're playing, right? And that's how it was. And with us, it was like there's tryouts if you want to play.
We're gonna pick who's gonna play with her. Because we're gonna win.
Are you guys competitive?
Yes.
Yeah. So how's this volleyball thing been? Is it bringing out some of that again?
Yeah.
As the years have gone by, my competitiveness, I've learned to like it's okay to lose.
Yeah.
Because before it was like no, I'm not losing. But now, calm down.
You'll notice that I don't play anything anymore because
you end up fighting.
No. No. But I was telling your dad this. It's like I've kind of lived that already. I played pretty competitive tennis, where it was like, maybe 7 hours a day. So during school, after school till night, I would be at on the courts, and we had a ball machine and stuff like that, and it was year round. And so and then I played golf because my doubles partner, his dad was the golf pro, so we'd go golfing with him and he would teach us. And so I kind of, not only that side, but we used to play football, we used to play volleyball, all that stuff, and do things like that. But I it's like it was one time where I just felt like I started seeing people, first of all, getting hurt. And at 25, or I saw somebody have an ACL damage and all this stuff, and I started thinking like, something happens to your body as you get older, right? To your joints and all that stuff. It's just natural. I'm not a doctor here, but I'm seeing a lot of people. Lorenzo was getting hurt. People were just getting hurt. And I kind of started thinking, I'm like, I don't think I want to get a surgery in these type of things. So I just started slowly going,
And my dad's out there still playing.
I know that's what we were talking about. And I'm like, I heard you fell a couple of times. And it was funny. My kids were like, they're like, oh, he fell. And then he goes, don't help me. He says, you go keep on playing.
Get that ball. Don't hit that ball.
And that's what they're like, oh, but everybody, he goes, don't help me up. So I talked to him the next day, but that's good. I mean, that's really good. I remember my dad, there's a vivid image where he's playing with all the grandkids up there baseball, and he's running around the bases too. And, I mean, it's something wants to come over you to do it. I really try to tell that thing to go back into its cave. I yell at it, because I think one of them, they were like chasing me with a bucket of water or something like that. And I was like, oh, I'm going to have to run. They're going to make me run, aren't they? So I had to say, okay, how do I do this? One leg in front of another, increase the speed. Because I hadn't done it in a bit. But there's something nice about, I guess, playing sports or learning what teamwork is and all that stuff is. I think there is something important. My dad used to use that as an example all the time when he played baseball, how critical it was for everybody to know their position and know their responsibility, right? So there are some life lessons in that, I think. Mm-hmm. I know I learned some. I knew what it was to, because I played, basketball and football and stuff like that. And the coach always mentioned that, right? But what's some of the experience that you guys had from an education standpoint within the academy? Do you guys feel like for me, I'll just share quickly a quick story. I'm sorry, this is all about me. Just so you know, Brother Lorenzo's like, I knew it. See, now everybody knows. It's just always him talking. So we moved from Utah to Texas, and they put me in remedial classes, English and math. They didn't even test me. And my sister found out. My sister Lori, which is at the time, she's a legal assistant and she's awesome. She's always the ones that if there's a problem in my life, we call Lori, right? My kids know that too. Aunt Lori will take care of it. But she finds out and she's like, Mom, why did they put him in that? Did they test or do anything like that? And my mom's, of course, I don't know. So Lori asked me and I said, nah, I didn't take any tests. So she calls the school and she says, hey, did you guys do a test before you put him in there? And they're like, no. And they're like, he came in, we looked at his previous, and yeah, but you don't understand. I'm assuming this is a conversation because I'm in junior high or whatever it is when we moved back, and she goes, yeah, but you don't know what kind of curriculum they had. It might have been more advanced than what you guys are doing. So, anyways, they put me in normal English, normal math, and stuff like that, and I pass, and I don't excel, but I'm passing and stuff like that. Of course, I've for a couple of months have been, in the remedial stuff, and so that was my experience. And Lori will kind of probably mention it a little bit more that she, felt like they were just stereotyping, me, and took it that route. But that's kind of a story that I have that I remember from the education standpoint. For you guys, what has been your experience on education in the academy? Is it like sometimes, did you notice any differences or experiences for you?
So when we moved to Pennsylvania in the academy, I was in second grade. When we moved over there, they did test me, and I landed in fourth grade.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then they put me in fourth grade, but then I was too small for all the big kids because I was only a second grader.
Yeah.
So they ended up putting me in third grade. But like my experience is that I believe the ACE program is like a little higher. That's what I think. I think it's more advanced, and I think they teach you like the things that you need to get into college, so that you're not having to take remedial classes. Right? Mm-hmm. So if you do it the right way, like if you actually do your curriculum the way you should, and you get, you finish your 12th grade books, then you should have no problem getting into college. Because I think that a lot of the friends that I had that did go to public school, they all took remedial classes. Mm-hmm. And we didn't have to take remedial classes. So
you're talking about in
El Paso.
In public school, though, right?
Yeah, they were in public school. Once they started college, they had to take remedial classes.
Oh, okay. In college, they did that. Yeah.
And they take their entrance exams, and they don't pass them because they didn't teach them some of the basic stuff that they needed to start college. Mm. And I think the ACE program there might be sections that don't get taught and that they do get taught in public school, but it's probably stuff that you don't need. Because when we started, we all took our entrance exams, and there's no need for remedial classes. Like, if you did your work, you don't have to do it again,
Was there pretty good structure in your home, though, with it? Like
I think that's another...
Yeah, so, I mean, the curriculum is great, but it has to be, the parents have to be involved. And not so much like that you have to help them and stuff, but I guess with us, my parents, my dad, my mom were always there pushing us in everything, church, education, sports.
Yeah.
You have to do the best and it was always, everything you do it as unto God, and you're going to do your best. So yes, like they were never like on us, but they were always like, after like you did your homework and like make sure that we were doing our school, because some parents was like, oh, well, don't even check if they had homework or if they're doing okay. So yeah, that has to do with it too, that you have your parents pushing you after you.
Sure.
But same thing like with the education, like you get a lot of comments, that the ACE curriculum that that we use, our Christian schools are no good, and you don't have no opportunities. You're not gonna be able to go to college.
What's the biggest difference you see though?
between public school
between a child, like let's say a child in public school and a child in academy.
Well, one thing here
Like think
too.
not think about it unbiasedly. No, think about it unbiasedly. I'm talking about everything though, not only education. I'm talking about introvert, extrovert, because those are the things that they'll say about homeschool or those that they don't have some oddity experiences that you'll need in life. Like sometimes, like you guys are very diverse already. You can tell, but one could be reserved because of that reason. Because just I wasn't, like for myself, you have 400 or 500 students, and I'm a freshman. I'm trying to navigate through all of that stuff. There's a pressure that's higher in that aspect, is what I'm just talking about, right? Or the bully in a senior, the hazing. So I'm not saying that all that I should have experienced that, but now if you put me in comparison that somebody that never experienced that, is there a difference? I'm just talking about psychology, from a psychology standpoint.
Yeah, and I think it depends on. I mean, obviously the school, the Christian school you go to and stuff. But I think, like, because that dude's stereotyping, like, oh, they're homeschooled. They went to Christian school and they're not. They don't have certain life skills or whatnot.
Yeah.
But I think what helped us was like convention.
Yeah.
That was able to like bring us out of whatever, yeah, like speaking in front of somebody.
But do you guys ever notice that though? Do you guys ever think about that? Because convention is, not every day.
No.
School, public school for like me,
it's every day.
Like my parents don't understand the hustle that I had to do, at times, and that you guys too. Don't get me wrong, especially the ones that you guys are having larger. I get that side of it, but it was like you go through those doors. I remember still going through the doors of Burnett High School. And everybody's there hanging out, and everybody's asking, especially as a Christian. Maybe I'm referring that to more as a Christian. Everybody's like, "What did you do this weekend?" I was very fortunate that I had older siblings that would take me to do stuff. Oh, I went to a San Antonio Spurs game. What? And it was like because my sister would take me. Yeah. I went to a Cowboys playoff game. What? So, like the way you guys were talking about, we always had something to say in that standpoint.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering. I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I would have loved to have been in an academy. I probably would have done a lot better than what I did in school. But I also value the fact that I can be in front of 250 people that I don't know. Kind of the experiences you guys are having with the conventions and presentations, like what they're doing now. That's awesome. That's great preparation. I love that when I saw that and I heard about the stuff they're going to have to do with this challenge. But those things are like critical, I guess. Like, cause you remember, like I remember being in a class and the teacher's like, Gabriel, 69, you might not play tennis this and publicly shaming me. And that wasn't right. I'm not saying it was right. I'm not saying that's the way it should have been. But I also remember like it having an effect on me to say, okay, I'm not going to be able to play, and we have a chance of winning district this year and this stuff. So feeling that, to stick it in a different gear. But I'm more, maybe the question I'm asking more is like extrovert, introverts within yourselves, like if you're in a room, are you a person that's going to people, or are you finding people have to come to you? Now, being honest about that, do you feel like you're more of a reserved person that people have to come to you to break ice, or are you breaking ice?
I think it kind of changes depending on the setting.
Okay.
I think so too. I was gonna say
like
that.
If we're together, like obviously.
If us three are together, she's behind us.
Yeah. Yeah.
She's hiding.
How come?
I let them do everything. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe.
But if I'm alone, like obviously at work and stuff, like
Yeah.
I'm like the outgoing person.
Yeah.
Extrovert. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know why it is.
The problem. I think we're the problem.
I don't know. They intimidate me, and I'm like, yeah, they know everything. They got it. And then when they're not there, I'm like, okay, I have to do it.
Well, I'm sure that I'm assuming this. At least they're the older siblings, right? Because my older siblings are the same too, but I'm sure they look at you and they're pretty impressed with everything that you've done in your life, you've achieved. I know that for a fact. Yeah, I feel it too, but I have good dynamics with Lorenzo. It's like you guys can tell on the radio, but it's like for me, he made me who I am. I tell him that all the time. I said, you made me competitive. You made me this, because I had to survive to be in our room. Because when friends would come over, they were going to try to kick me off my bed. I was like, no, let's play basketball for it. And we had this little Nerf basketball, and I practiced all week because I want to sleep in my bed this weekend. Because whoever wouldn't was sleeping on the floor, right? And so we'd have challenges like that. But yeah, I think that's interesting, though. That's an interesting perspective. If you guys, I don't feel like there's a dynamic like that, though. That I'm assuming you guys all, get along.
Well, yeah, but like if it is all three of us, I think most of the time we let her take the lead.
Yeah,
I mean, and I'm the oldest, but still she like.
Wow.
So like, let's say
Karen,
just an example,
are you
like
a bossy pants?
like if we were all like in a situation where we had to make a decision for my parents or something, it'd be like Karen.
Well, there's some respect in that. I mean, I think you guys, it's probably not that. It's just probably that maybe are you more in tune with your parents or
I
connected
think she's
to them, or what?
more responsible.
She's kind of like your Lori.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she knows all of our finances. Like she knows. So she takes care of like the more important things.
Okay. Interesting. So how do you want to respond to that, Karen?
I mean, she knows that. But
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how or how.
You
I don't know how I got here.
Yeah, you don't know how you got nominated? That's funny.
But I guess because I've always been, I guess since little, I've always been more of a observant person. I'm always looking at everything, learning, trying to learn everything. And I don't know if it had to do with that or it's just me. So I always was with older people.
Yeah.
I would get punished for being the good student, and they would put me. So like if a student in the high school behaved bad, they would be like, well, we need to put him back into the middle school. So there was no room, so they would choose the good student to go to the high school. So I was always with the older students. So I guess I was always with older people. So I don't know if that
kind of changed your maturity or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know. But even
do you
then,
feel like you had to mature quicker because of that?
No, I mean, I was still play. No, I've never. Yeah, I mean, I would always still play. Obviously, in breaks and stuff, it was always playing basketball, volleyball.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that didn't really.
But as far as like, that could change your maturity level.
Yeah, and I guess
the
maybe
conversations are different.
And then like, I don't know. Like Renzo said, I have to be tough because I'm short. You know, short people try to be tough.
Short person.
I mean, I don't know.
Napoleon syndrome. Gotcha.
I don't know if that too. Like,
not to that
extent. I wouldn't let the older ones push me around. I don't know. I don't know. But even after that, like, I always like to be with the older people, like in their older people's conversations and learning from older people.
Okay, well, that's fair.
And so I don't know if that kind of like, made me more responsible or more. I don't know what the word is. I don't know.
Yeah. Are you more like your mom? Is she more like your mom? Who's the one that's more like your mom?
In what way?
No, you're just any kind of characteristics. Wow, that's a tough one, huh?
No, I don't know.
I know.
No, I don't.
Nobody wants to answer that one.
I think we're all more like my dad, no?
Yeah, I think we're all.
I think all
like
three
that.
of us are more like
Really?
my dad.
Yeah.
I think. I mean,
Yeah. No.
you put us on the spot there, but
Wow. Okay. You guys have never thought about that, huh? Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's working. Well, on that note right there, let's go ahead and take a quick break. And that way, if you guys want to get some waters and stuff like that. But God bless you. When we get back, we're going to read the messages that we've got coming in. God bless y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. I know we're talking in English. It's just because it's comfortable for them. They don't know Spanish. They're not very fluent in Spanish. They asked if we could do this whole program in English. No, they know it's easier probably for me. But God bless y'all. Hopefully you're enjoying it. Send your messages in. We'll be reading those when we get back. ¿Con qué pagaremos? 107.3 FM, KZTO. God bless y'all.
¿Con qué pagaremos el inmenso amor? Pues diste tu vida por mí un pecador, Señor Jesucristo. Conforta mi alma para que yo pueda vencer en la lucha y servirte mejor. No tengo que darte por amarme tanto. Recibe este canto mezclado con llanto de mi corazón. Y cuando en la noche extienda su mano, mis ojos sin llanto en ti fijaré, alzando mis ojos, veré las estrellas y sé que tras ellas, cual Padre amoroso, tú velas por mí. No tengo que darte por amarme tanto. Recibe este canto mezclado con llanto de mi corazón. Recibe este canto mezclado con llanto de mi corazón.
God is fighting for us. God is on our side. He has overcome. Yes, He has overcome. We will not be shaken. We will not be moved. Jesus, you are here, carrying our burdens, covering our shame. He has overcome. Yes, He has overcome. We will not be shaken. We will not be moved. Jesus, you are here. Oh, I will live. I will not die. The resurrection power of Christ alive in me, and I am free in Jesus' name. I will live.
All right, introducing the new show with Kayla. Kayla, they're mean to you, aren't they? Picking on you, saying, make Kayla talk. So we got some messages here. Bro Lorenzo, God bless y'all this morning. Looking forward to the program this morning. Amen. Sister Donna, God bless y'all this morning. Hermana Fana, Dios bendiga a las hermanas Rochas. Esta mañana que Dios les bendiga a ellas y su familia. Sister Liz, God bless my sisters this morning. They truly have been a blessing to us. Thank you for your friendship and love and support. Love y'all. Sister, your Tia, right, Abigail? Tia Abigail, praise the Lord, everyone. Amen. And then we got some text messages here. Sister Paula was one of the first one to text in here. It says, good morning to all these beautiful... Good morning to all. This beautiful morning, hope everyone has a wonderful, blessed day. Love you all in the Lord. Amen. God bless Paula. Sister Melda, Pastor praise him. Good to see these young ladies. So inspiring for many of us. Amen. God bless Sister Melda. Bro Lorenzo, let them talk. Twice he says it. What times were they different? Let's see if they sent them different times. Yeah, 1 minute after each other. Now we understand, Kayla. See how it is, Kayla. But praise the Lord. God bless you all, and thank y'all for again having the courage to show up here. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward as far as some of the talks that we're talking about. Now, so now let's talk about what are the graduation dates out of Academy. For you, it was what year?
97.
97? Okay.
2002.
2002?
2011.
2011, okay. And what were some of the aspirations you guys had in Academy for when you were going to be done with Academy?
You start first.
Yeah? It should
like, what were our goals in life?
Yeah, goals in life, but also, like, did you... like for me, I've always told the story that I wanted to be a sports agent, which was funny, but it was kind of just I love sports, I follow sports, knew all the athletes, and I just thought that would have been neat to have been involved in something like that, some kind of capacity of, and I hate reading, so that probably wouldn't have worked out because it was like I would have had the worst contract for people, and people would have hated me and all this stuff for this reason, but. That's kind of what where I was at. Also technology too, like I'm still in, but
I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I wanted to be a lot of things. Like I wanted to be a doctor, and then I wanted to be pharmacy tech or pharmacist, and then I wanted to be a forensic scientist, and I wanted to be in the FBI, and I wanted to
forensic scientist,
do a lot of things. Yeah.
What made you want to be a forensic scientist?
I love that stuff.
Yeah, mysteries and stuff like that. We're solving cases.
Yeah, like DNA and just solving a case. Who did it? Whose blood was it? Whose hair follicle was it?
Are you a person that like listens to those stories, like where unsolved mysteries or?
Yeah, I like to.
Yeah. My wife too. I'll go into the bathroom when she's in there sometimes, and I'll hear something. And I'm like.
I'll solve the cases.
Yeah. So it used to be kind of awkward for me at night because then I'd hear it like in the middle of the night. I wake up to something, and that she had the bloody knife in her hand, and I'm like, and the entire time she's been watching me sleep. I would always joke around with that. I was like, "Do you have to listen to this right now?" So, so forensic scientist was top.
Yeah, I went into microbiology and chemistry because I guess my goal was to go to I guess that was the route to either take me to medical school or to take me to forensics or to take me to.
Okay.
But I stopped halfway, so I didn't keep going.
Yeah. But that's that would have covered a lot of those ones that you were mentioning, pharmacist, all that stuff would have been a requirement. Yeah. For sure. That's neat. How about for you, Karen?
I didn't know what I wanted to do.
No?
To graduation, I didn't know what I wanted to study. I had no idea. I just knew, like, I love math, but I didn't want to be a math teacher. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. I started college. I was like, I'll do a couple of classes till I figure out what I want to do. It's not until I got a job in an accounting office and started doing that, I was like, oh, this is what I want to do.
Okay, so accounting then became kind of a focus for you. Numbers cruncher.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Are you proficient in Excel? Mm-hmm. You know all the magic tricks on Excel?
Not all of them, but yeah.
That's a good one to really.
A lot of them.
I don't either. But when I've seen people like on reporting that they'll give me and they created something, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
It becomes its own like database, drop down menus that you can do stuff and pull up other things from other sheets and all this stuff. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm really impressed. There's this one person that I gave them like all of our sales data and they gave me like this dashboard that was amazing that had a bunch of slicers that would go into other sheets. I was like, wow. But again, it's just the way knowing that. I think that's a really, really strong one is Excel being in that. But so accounting was kind of you're always kind of based off of finances too. It sounds like number cruncher.
Yeah, I mean, I've always loved math. So that's why I was like, I want to do something with math, but I didn't know what.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to be a teacher, at least, as a profession, because after graduation, and I think Lila did it too, after we graduated, we would volunteer at the school to tutor and help. So even after graduating, we were always still there involved with the school.
Yeah.
So,
did you guys
but
get
I didn't
burned
want
out? Maybe.
Did we what?
Get burned out doing it?
No. I mean,
because you said you didn't want to be a teacher. So
no, that's what I'm saying. As a profession, as like in a public school.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. I didn't want to study.
Could you guys have ever seen your guys self being teachers, like in an academy though, like for where it's private and you have that type of where it's not public, but because you guys all seem like you're pretty passionate about your experiences with it. Like when I see you guys involved with some of the kids, it's like you're pretty good at that. But if that was like a reality to it, could you have seen that being a career for y'all?
Yeah, I guess probably not until we moved over here. I continued doing it. Like even if I had my job, like I was still in school, like I continued volunteering at the school. Like I was always involved with the academy. And now here I'm involved again,
Yeah.
So I've always been just, I guess, from when we moved over there from El Paso to over here, those years that there was no academy. But besides that, I've always been involved, like with tutoring, teaching, whatever.
Yeah.
It might be in the academy.
But your strongest one is the accounting side, right? Mm-hmm. That kind of you feel. And Kayla, you really found a direction as far as like, because are you the one that went to school specifically for your profession?
Well, I think she did too. She has.
You went to accounting? Was it?
Yeah, I have a bachelor's in accounting.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, we all have. Well, they have bachelor's. I do have my master's, but.
Yeah, but bachelor in
microbiology.
Okay, so you did end up going for okay, because I thought you.
No, I stopped halfway. And I didn't continue to.
I'm sorry.
To pursue the.
So to pursue it, I got you. Okay. Yeah. Because of you have to get your.
I got
additional.
Married.
Yeah.
And I think she worked in a lab here.
Yeah, I did work in a lab.
Oh,
here
did you?
In Austin, I worked at the state lab.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. And so, Kayla, then you you went for accounting, which you're doing accounting, which is good. The microbiology, but you still stayed in the education side of it, like what you're doing now, and able to do. And not only that, but you also manage your guys' business, a lot of the organization of that, right? Yeah. Which that's a big help. That's tremendous help as far as like, because that's challenging already as it is. Probably more challenging than a lot of things, especially when it's your own, right? Because it's like you really need to make sure.
Dealing with a lot of customers is challenging.
But also you have to really make sure it's organized, because it's different when you're doing it for another company. The risk is there, but when it's yours, literally you can lose everything.
She helps me out a lot.
Yeah. I'm seeing that's a kind of a theme right there. Yeah. Yeah, they have the red phone. She has the one with is her phone red where they call for emergencies. The emergency phone.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So Kayla, talk a little bit about growing up too. Are you doing what you thought you wanted to do when you were growing up?
Similar. I wanted to be a pediatrician.
Oh, okay.
Fortunately, I have a cousin that's a nurse practitioner, so she would always let me shadow her wherever she was working.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I ended up as a nurse practitioner. I think mostly once I graduated from high school, I just kind of went that route, and then I was like, oh, let's do physical therapy. But then they changed the requirements where I would have to go to school for a long time, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do that. So it's like, okay, let's do nurse practitioner since I've shadowed my cousin and I like it. So that's how I ended up as a nurse practitioner.
And how rewarding is that for you personally, what you do, like from a servitude standpoint? Because you're with people too, and in some cases where it's kind of sad, right? I'm assuming this, because you're dealing with all varieties of types of diagnosis and all this stuff. But how do you find like I think that's for me, that's what changed me, is that I found a career because I was involved with people with disabilities. I'm in their homes, I'm in hospitals, I'm right after an accident, a week after an accident, the blood from a trach that they put in, and I'm seeing stuff that I never would have seen in my life, but I'm also offering solutions to improve their life. So it became like a servitude. Like I wanted to make sure I was the best at knowing that stuff because they're expecting that. What reward have you found in doing that from a comparison to even your walk with God?
Yeah, I mean, overall, it is very rewarding. I mean, obviously, there's some cases that can be fixed or just the outcomes aren't always favorable.
Yeah.
But even then, just kind of the family having peace that everything that could have been done was done, and they're okay with that. Obviously, there's situations where it's becomes more difficult or taxing to like the spirit.
Yeah.
I think something that we've been talking about a lot was the spirits like of anxiety, depression, and going into like more like schizophrenia, bipolar.
Yeah.
Where for me that was like, I guess something, I don't know if I was shielded from or something that's like more like depression, anxiety. It's taboo in the Christian environment. So being out here and seeing all this stuff, and I'm a lot of times shocked, like, yeah, I could read it in a book and be like, oh, like,
yeah.
But once you see it in person, you're like, oh, this is like not what I expected.
Yeah.
So that there's situations like that where it's difficult for me, not so much just difficult to know how to handle it because you have to kind of, of course, they tell you like you can't bring God into it and stuff like that.
So that's interesting. I remember the first experience I had where I prayed for somebody, and I didn't do it publicly that people knew, but I did it not because I felt like the situation, I want to say needed it from like even a healing standpoint. I did it from a standpoint that I could see that individual being so beautiful and amazing that it was just like, continue this. Their family was beautiful and amazing, loved them to death. By the way the family talked about him, you couldn't tell he had a disability, which I always love in as I'm working with families, because I know they understand, because I've seen it. I've seen it when teachers or therapists are like, oh, I don't even know if something's there. And I'm like, there's something there. And we've had plenty of stories where we've seen it once we get them driving, or mobile. But I've done those private prayers as I'm working on something. Put my little pinky there. Of course, I don't get the oil. I'm not doing all any of that stuff. Yeah. But I'm sure you find your situations where maybe you're driving home. I remember many a times I would drive home crying of appreciation that God, I had, healthy kids, had because there's, divorces that will happen. All the statistics happen when it comes to challenges with people, with severe disabilities, like they can't walk, they're going to therapy all this time, doing all these different things. And I'm over here like seeing some of that stuff, seeing, families like that. And so I'm like over here, flying back emotional thinking about my kids or whatever. So I found it like it was a good therapy for me personally, is being able to serve at that capacity. I don't know how you feel about it personally for some of the stuff that you're doing, but I also think that each one of you guys has kind of a unique take on that too, because you're serving, you know, in academy, helping out, or also some of y'all in teaching here. And how's that been for y'all too? That's going to be an interesting one. But how about for you, Kayla? This, which you talked a lot. Can we get a? Let's all give Kayla a round of applause because she talked a lot there. She did. You explained very well and did good on that. But do you find yourself like in that, where on those private moments for you, where you're praying and you're just like reflecting for your family and all that stuff and everything like that? So I don't know if you want to mention some of those moments or talk a little bit as an example of one of them.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, a lot of times I do know like specific patients. I work in nursing homes, so a lot of patients, I see them pretty frequently, the same ones. It's not like a big turnaround, especially patients with more disabilities. So a lot of times I already know like kind of what I'm going into for the day. So especially if I know like those specific patients that I know it's going to be a rough one, just like praying for them, for myself, just protection. But yeah, like you said, just grateful that I was shielded, or I didn't have to deal with that a lot of my life, and I didn't see that often.
Does it affect you though? Because that's the thing that affects me more emotionally is I give credit to you, Sister Delilah, because I've told you this with your kids, how I see your kids with Elias. That's massive. I love that. I mean, I'm a cheerleader of that. That's like, I love that. Like, it's like there's a love there. You can feel it. I know it's work. I know you guys are all working and doing that. Don't get me wrong. But it's hard for me when I hear negativity from teachers, like I was talking about someone, and it frustrates me. I kind of take that. It's like, look, you don't know what you're talking about. I've seen people with worse scenarios do it because of the positiveness that comes around. So for me, that's a battle for me. That's the physical, the fleshly side of me wanting to come across and tell somebody something. I've had to tell people if they could quiet down because it was all negative when I was trying to work with somebody, to try to get him to, I was like, okay, you guys tried, you know, if you guys can give me a chance now to, or I'll ask them, you know, if they can be a little quieter because I know they're listening. Yeah. It's like, no, he's not going to do it. He can't see all these different things, all the mountain challenges that they put in front of someone. But how does it affect you spiritually? Nursing home example, when you see people not visiting their parents, when you know the sadness of that hits. I don't care, you know, you could say you're as strong as you are spiritually, but it's emotional, right? Because you're like, that's such a sweet person or whatever it is. It's like yesterday we were at my mom's shop and this lady's in there and she goes, is this your grandkids, Fanny? And she goes, yeah, some of them. And she goes, oh, wow. And I'm like, yeah, we have to have our lunch with grandma once a week or something, just starting to talk with her. And she goes, I don't ever see my grandkids. And I'm like, oh, I said, she goes, but they live far away. I said, well, do you FaceTime them? Do you see them on video? No, they're too busy. I said, well, you know what? They're probably thinking about you, just trying to be. But I'm like over here, like, that's sad, you know, when you hear something like that. How do you feel personally, like on some of these, on the health side of it that you experience? Is that something that you feel like it's a struggle?
Yeah, I think a lot of times they're like, oh, you're getting home late. And I think a lot of like nurses, and they tell me you spend a lot of time with your patients. Like sometimes it's not too much about like the medical side. Yeah. It's just, hey, like, how are you doing?
Good.
Spiritually, or not spiritually, but just mentally.
I know what you mean, though. Yeah.
And a lot of time is spent, and then it's probably more time that I should spend because at the end of the day I come home really very late. But knowing that they don't have like somebody to talk to.
So you found a servitude. You found a place that, you know, God's kind of put you in, it sounds like, because you're not really managing it with time in your mindset. You're like, hey, I'm doing this because I feel like this person needs it.
Correct.
Beyond what which is awesome. I mean, so that's got to be, it's joy for you too that you're able to do something that be positive in that side of it too, on both sides.
Yeah.
So that's great. I mean, that's really has an impact on people, I'm assuming too. How about for y'all too? I mean, do you guys find yourselves like some of the stuff that you guys are doing now? I know, especially in the academy side of it, I'm sure you guys are able to connect to that too. How do you feel about that, Sister Delilah? You're here the most with it, so I mean, you've got to be.
I
don't know. I'm trying to process the question.
So like you're with you're able to serve God in this process too, because you're guiding young people in a different perspective. Now we see it as just books, but there's some life lessons that you're giving there.
Yeah.
There's some critical crossroads that you're helping make decisions on. And you have problems. You've got struggles. You're like you're talking about earlier today. It's late. You're doing other stuff because of this, but there's got to be something in your heart when you see a Sarah excited for school now. Like hearing that testimony from that's somebody that's like was hesitant is now like, I love it. I love it. When you have some turnarounds like that, when you see some, like, what's your, how do you feel about that?
I feel like I'm not doing enough yet. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I mean,
I see the kids, and my heart smiles because I'm like, I don't know a lot of them. I didn't know a lot of them. Like they're all brand new kids for me, right? But like this is something that I've had in my heart for so long. Like just starting a school, because I wanted that for my kids. And so, like I was just talking to Robert about it just 2-3 days ago. I said, because there's times where it interferes, like, oh, well, you're not home enough and you don't do this and this doesn't get done, or you know, and like the laundry's piling up or this is happening or whatever. And I tell him, I see all those things too. I said, but I'm going back to my experiences as like what we were talking about earlier. We were so busy with schools, sports, church, that there was no time to get in trouble. And I said, and I think that before we had this school, my kids were lacking busyness.
You were starting to see a little bit of that?
I was starting to see them kind of
which is different, right, for Robert, because the structure, like we were talking about, this area didn't really have, like Robert probably would have had that being there if they had it.
And that's what I was talking to him about. I said, I don't want, I said, not that I didn't have struggles, because we had a conversation with one of my kids, and kind of something that they kind of, I don't know if they meant it that way, but I felt like they were throwing in my face, kind of saying,
they threw some jabs,
like, you don't have any struggles. And I'm like, oh, you don't know, like you don't know that I don't.
Let me tell you about my struggles.
And so I was telling my husband, they like they'll say right away, oh yeah, Dad has struggles, you don't have struggles, kind of like that. And so I was telling my husband,
maybe you deal with them differently.
I think, but I was telling my husband, I think you did have a lot of more struggles than I did. I said, but because you weren't busy, like, like I felt like I never had time to get in trouble, And so I said, that's what I want for my kids. I said, yeah, we kind of see it in the way where like we're so busy all the time, we're tired, like the laundry's not getting done. I hardly cook at home anymore, stuff like that. I said, but they're not gonna have all these other struggles.
It's
like
crazy, isn't it?
They're not gonna stray away because they're too busy at school, at church, just staying busy, that they're not gonna. And so that's kind of what I want for the other kids.
Is it the flow? Flow's not figured out yet. It's getting figured out. It's like, because that's what ends up happening with all of us, right? Is like we all have capacities. Everybody here has a capacity. You can think you got the highest capacity, but you have a limit. Everybody has a limit, because there's only 24 hours in a day and processing and what you need to do. So it's like once you start to figure that out, then you got to start, processing like what your flow is going to be in that. So now schedule, now that stuff, and now you start to say, okay, here's when there's gapped out times. I got to make sure when I don't want to do something, I at least have something happening. It's just like a whole bunch of, if not, it's like, this has been a good example. They're doing their company, there at the air show. They have a booth there or whatever. And they're rushing these couple of days because they weren't looking at stuff like that. and it's been a good example for them. But they did it. You know, they were working late last night doing stuff and trying to. But you can see the anxieties of not knowing. Well, this is going to give them experience right in that, so it should change them. So now they should say, "Hey, I didn't like that feeling of do I have everything." Now it's like, let's have everything on the shelf. So when
We're
this
ready.
happens, we go, right? You guys understand that, but that's been like the most valuable thing for me with them is like, figure that stuff out, because you're going to be more advanced when you're 28 because when you're 15, 16, 17, 20, you're already having some of these life lessons. So I think that those are critical too, that maybe you guys had in structure based off of what you are talking about, that you're trying to give your kids now with some of these things, which is good.
Yeah, because I did see the lack. Well, I homeschooled them. Well, when I was working, I couldn't homeschool them, so Mika went to public school, but she went up to second grade. When she was gonna go into third grade, that's when I pulled her out. So Jeremias never went to public school, and I homeschooled them. After that, I stopped working and I started homeschooling. And then 2 or 3 years ago, we found a Christian school and we sent Mika first. Jeremias stayed home. And then she went 1 year, and then the next year we sent him. So he's only been to school 1 year, and then this is his next year that he's in school.
Yeah. What's the difference from him and Mika?
3 years.
On the age?
In difference.
And
in
what's
age.
what has there been there? Have you talked with them on the differences that they've seen from that private school to doing it here? And
yeah, they've seen differences, and like sometimes that's what I was telling them. Like I said, when I was growing up, it was like my parents were always there, right? We went to convention. My dad was the one who drove us.
Yeah.
We went to play sports. He wasn't our coach, but he was at all
He
our
was there,
games.
yeah.
You know, so they were always there. And when you're a teenager, maybe my sisters didn't feel like that, but when you're a teenager, it's like, oh, like, can I get a break? Like, can I
Yeah.
go by myself? You know, sometimes I would think that way. I said, but now as an adult, I'm like thankful that my parents were always there.
Yeah.
And I didn't lack in that area,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so that's kind of how I feel like my kids are like we can't get away from her. We're at school and she's there. We're here and she's there.
That's
you know?
true, right?
But I said, you'll thank me one day. Like,
Yeah,
you'll-
and they will. It takes time. It's like for anything, and then you get to that place in your life where you're really wanting that peace, and you're thankful that there was peace in your life, because now it's a goal for you to shoot for, right?
Yes.
It's like some of the expectations that we set for ourselves is like mom and dad. It's like the first time I took my kids to Disneyland, right? I was like thinking, how in the world did my parents take us? And I asked my mom, I was like, that was a financial disaster for me. It's like, it was like you had to, do everything. And it's like, and I asked my mom, and she's like, we just tried to figure it out. We drove, they saved a lot of money and a lot of things. But we're not seeing it as kids, right? And it's like, now you look back on things and you're like, that was pretty crazy, knowing what you know now.
Yeah.
And so I think that some of those things are, there's an appreciation, and that's good. I mean, how about for you, Karen? What do you find yourself on the servitude standpoint of in your life? I know, and I meant to ask you guys this too, and you can feel free to start answering, but I know you guys are having an opportunity in the ministry here with the kids and working with, in the children's ministry. How's that been for y'all? Has that been something that's, new, enjoy it, or I tell you one thing, I hear stories all the time that make me crack up with the kids, things that they'll just, how they, and that I'm sure that's a release and a relief, because our lives can be very mundane. I was very grateful in some of my busiest times to have conversations with the youth that would really like settle my mind down. But I mean, how do you find yourself in your life, on the servitude standpoint and finding that connection?
Yeah, well, like with the kids and with the school, I mean, it feels great, I guess, because we've always been, active in church, and it's been 6 years, more than 6 years, that had stopped. We hadn't had that opportunity.
Yeah.
So going back to it, it was I was nervous at first, like,
Yeah.
oh my God, how am I gonna do this?
Yeah.
But it feels good, like
You're back
you
in
say,
it.
the kids make you think they're not listening.
Yeah.
And then the next class up, like, oh yeah, you said this. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, they're listening. You know?
Welcome to parenthood eventually, right?
Yeah, because like we do the little ones, right? So
Yeah.
sometimes you
Yeah,
think
yeah.
you're not paying attention.
Yeah.
And I guess that, you know, like you say, as you grow older with the youth, you think the same thing. They're not looking, or they're not paying attention. But it goes back with the little kids, and you realize, like, they are. So they are looking at you, and they will learn something from you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's been, for me personally, like, I needed that again to be able to feel like I'm able to serve somebody.
Awesome. That's awesome. That's awesome. You could tell that you guys were cut out that way, in a good way. Like I said, you know, seeing you guys just got in your element. And hopefully you guys feel at home more than you did, you know, before. I could also see the transformation in your dad just the first time, you know, having him on the radio and stuff like that. Like there's like the flower was like closed, and it got a little bit of water, and it started to open up a little bit, got a little bit more water. And
I just said that yesterday to my mom, actually.
Yeah.
We were sitting in the car because it was too cold and watching them play volleyball.
Yeah.
I was just seeing my dad. He was just so happy. He was
That's
just,
awesome.
you know.
That's awesome.
And I told my mom, wow, I said, I hadn't seen my dad like that in a long time.
That's awesome. I feel it too. I felt the little different step in him too, with you guys too. I'm sure you guys mean the world to him, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal for y'all guys. And you guys, sometimes you're starting to your roots, you know, because sometimes you're in a potted. That analogy that I talk about a lot, we keep ourselves in a pot and then now you can take yourself out and say, okay, let me try to root myself. Let's try to get those roots to go into a ground. And you have these scenarios and these opportunities. How do you feel with the teaching with kids?
Yeah, very similar. I actually did the big ones a couple weeks ago, and I was a little more nervous about that one, but it went really well.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, you should come back and do it. I'm like, oh, thank you.
That's great. You should come back. You know what? We think we might have you again. We all got together. Can you step out of the room for a second? We're going to all take a vote here. We're going to take a secret vote. So we don't want you to know who didn't vote for you. That's funny, though. That's it sounds like... It sounds like kids these days.
That sounds like Joseph.
Seriously, I hear, yeah, stuff like that, and it's like, man, they're special. You know, my dad, he had such a hard life as a child, just in seeing stuff that he wanted to always do things for kids. He wanted stuff. He thought it was important. He would get depressed if he'd hear one crying. Mm-hmm. Just from life, you know, from what he experienced as a child and stuff like that. And but he always had, you know, he would always light up when he would see or hear a story. From hearing that story would have just made him smile, right? Because they're special. They really are. And for us to have, if we can build that environment, which is critical, and it takes everyone. Mm-hmm. It takes everyone. And that's the thing, you know, on the leadership side for us, is like we gotta, you know, we gotta get people with that type of passion, right? It's like, I'm tired too, like everyone else, but I'm sometimes looking at the cameras after church because I see kids running outside and doing stuff or whatever it is, right? I'm tired. I could just say, let the parents deal with that. But I also know that one of them could get hit by a car if somebody's backing up or doing something. Mm-hmm. And those are the type of things that, you know, as a church, you want people stepping into and saying, okay, well, maybe we need to do this and be organized this type of way. Mm-hmm. And those are little things that, you know, just that, but that are big things. You know, that's the last thing we would want is somebody to get hurt, you know, here at church or something happen. But it's good. It's good. I think you guys, let's talk a little bit as we see ourselves wrapping up here, but let's talk a little bit about some of the struggles that you guys have had. If you guys have had any struggles in life with that type of change move, what are some things that you guys have noticed? Like we were talking about the rooting yourself, now that you find yourself like rooting yourself more, but what are some challenges that you guys have encountered in your lives that could help people, you know, younger than you? Before you guys answer that, if you guys can think about it, but Mano Martinez says, Pasa Cristo, hermanas, Qué bonita familia, bendecida para bendecir. Dios las bendiga y las guarde. Praise the Lord. And Brother Anthony also says, Pasa Cristo, Dios ha sido bueno con nosotros. Es un gran privilegio. Maybe I said that right. De conocer a la familia Rocha. It takes courage to be on the radio. God bless you, sisters. Thankful for Sister Delilah for helping our kids in their education. Amen. God bless Brother Anthony. So if you guys want, I mean, just anything, what's been one of the toughest challenges that you guys have just encountered in life, that you guys have found? I'll share one with you just to break the ice, right? I'm never going to ask you guys to say something that's not difficult. I've had the privilege to do a marriage class, to lead a marriage classes here, and my marriage was far from perfect. And some would say, well, why are you leading it or doing it? Well, it's because it was like that I was very fortunate to have a wife that we were able to fight for our marriage and to hold it together and really trust in God. We had to trust in God for this, right? And so we had some great scenarios where we seen God work. I personally, in my life, I saw God work in a mighty way where he reminded me who he was. And we've talked about some of those things in the marriage classes, and she was able to testify a couple of personal things. We just grew up differently. She didn't grow up in the church and saw a lot of stuff. And I didn't. And so it was weird for me. We're polar opposite on that level from that. And we see it and we work through it and try to work through some things with that. But that was like one of the greatest things, because it was God that came in and intervened and helped out in that, personally speaking. And I'm not ashamed to ever talk about stuff like that. Like, I've been fortunate enough. One day, I'll just give you guys an example. One day we had a hardship, and as we were recovering from this hardship, I said, you do realize that you're going to have to talk about this one day. I just wanted her to know that. See, I knew it, that one day we were going to be doing counseling. And I remember the first day she did it, and I sat back there and I go, okay, God, now there's been healing there. There's been stuff there. And it was awesome. And I could see somebody, in their element saying, look, I can speak to this. Mm-hmm. It's going to require this. You're going to need to do this. And sometimes we don't want to talk about some of these things as we hear this stuff. It's like, we're on the radio, Brother Gabe. But I've always said this thing too. You're never embarrassed if it's not who you are anymore. And it's all for the glory of God. Because at the end of the day, that's what we live our lives for, right? Let's not put ourselves in a box or even in a glass house, right? We all have struggles. There's struggles, depression, whatever it is, challenges that happen. And I think it's awesome when you start to, like the way you guys are talking about your careers, when you start to be used by God, not only in the beauty of how you were created and stuff, but also in flaws that made you stronger, whatever it is, challenges. And for me, it's like, I always remember my brother had a major impact on my life when he testified about going through abuse as a kid. I never had heard this story that, he held it in all those years and told my dad when the person that did it was going to be in my life, and risked, years of not exposing it to protect me. I mean, I get emotional just thinking about that, because that was such a big thing for him. Mm-hmm. But because of love, he did that. And also hearing that he didn't tell my dad early on, or my dad would have lost his salvation, because he was barely new to the things of the Lord. Mm-hmm. I mean, like, stuff like that to me is like amazing. Mm-hmm. And it's the character of who he is. And even though we joke around and play around all the time and stuff like that, I have a lot of respect for who he is as a person, for that standpoint. But enough about us. I gave you guys plenty of time. I was kind of
think.
So
I still can't think.
no, you guys can think. You guys can think. So Kayla, we'll start with you this time because we'll go the opposite. For you, I mean, what's been like one of the challenges that you've experienced in your life, whatever it is that you see, that has really formed some things with you, like anything at all, you know, relationships, bad relationships, anything at all that you kind of see. Oh, okay. Look, sometimes we take a shotgun approach instead of a sniper approach. That shotgun, you know what a shotgun approach is, right? Where you just hit everything. And I just saw a little bit of laughing on that one right there. Well,
I just thought that was a funny question. I don't know.
No, but it can be anything that you guys are seeing that's been challenging in your lives. Like I said, you know, sometimes we don't feel comfortable sharing something, but if you've overcome something, if God has, you know, created something new in it, then you should feel comfortable. But go ahead.
I mean, fortunately, thankfully, thank God, life has been pretty good and easy.
Yeah.
But I think something that was a little hard for me, or like I would get upset about, I just feel like my parents held, I don't know if I'm saying this right, held us to a greater standard, like expected us to be better, like I don't know.
Almost perfect.
Yeah. So a lot of times, like, to people, like, for me, first of all, I felt like I had to be perfect. If not, I wasn't doing everything right. Like, so it was a struggle because you're like, oh, like, you have to be perfect. You can't make mistakes. You can't have failures. And I think a lot of people would see us and also think, like, oh, like, they think too much of themselves or stuff like that.
We can't talk to them because they're perfect.
Yeah. Or, like, we can't invite them because they're perfect and they're not going to want to hang out with us or stuff like that. But I think now, looking back, I'm thankful that our parents held us to that measure, because if not, we wouldn't be able to accomplish a lot of things that we have accomplished.
Yeah, that's good. So, good answer. Kind of a Miss America answer, I'm going to tell you. Okay, world peace. So, but good answer, though. And I appreciate you. No, but I appreciate you sharing some of that stuff, too. But what's something for you also, because I get that. That's a lot of pressure. And, you know, understand what it is when you, in leadership roles, pastors and stuff like that, and ministers, you feel that stuff. And you're preaching to the choir here, right? Because we went through the same stuff, too. And I started thinking a little bit of that this week, too. But, like, for you, like a core battle that you encounter, what's your dragon that you encounter every day that you're slaying? And it's tough. I mean, I think it's the reason I'm asking you this. I'm not trying to make you feel uncomfortable in that question. It's because I think you do it in such a good way. So don't feel bad about it. So it could be something, like I said, it could be a depression. It could be something that comes over you, a sadness. It could be like some of the stuff you guys were you just mentioned right now, that sometimes it's people not giving you the benefit of the doubt to get to know you because of that, what you just said right there. Because it could that oh, they're too good or whatever it is like that. Those are moments that are difficult. Mm-hmm. I can understand that, and being misinterpreted or people really not understanding that. So, but do you find like there's something that's your focus that you're constantly having to, strive at to take down in your life personally, being young, being, maybe hearing other people, or is there anything like that? I'll give you an example, like for, and this probably is not even anything close to in your guys' family, but when you have a lot of family members that might not be in the things of God, especially being young ladies, like you'll hear a lot of that stuff, like, don't let the train pass you.
I was going to say that exactly.
Well, I was going to say, because I remember like hearing my aunt say that stuff, and I hear it now with my daughter. And I'm like,
she's like 19.
She's 20. Yeah, she's 20. But I hear it with that. And I'm like, oh no. I'll intervene. I say she's good. I know where she's at. I know her strength. I know that there's things that come in. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. I can understand that. But I've seen her strength in relationships. I've seen that she's just not but as a parent, I'm so cautious of that, because there's things that can come, right? Emotions that can come and challenges on that. But you were gonna say,
yeah, I think a lot. Like, I've been in school for so long that it wasn't really a big focus. But now that I'm done with school, have a career, a lot of people are like, oh, like, when are you get married? When this? And I'm like, well, and sometimes I do feel like, am I doing something wrong? Like, what's wrong with me that I can't find anybody? But at the end of the day, I feel like when it's the right time, God's gonna bring it.
It's awesome. That's awesome as long as you feel that, because it's true. That at the end of the day, that's the deciding factor, right? Is that God blesses it. Mm-hmm. I always thought this is kind of real. It could be very naive, but I always said this: if I'm a parent with my kids that's working really hard to make them of value to society, to someone, I'm praying that God has somebody else for them that's doing the exact same thing to them. Mm-hmm. And that's how it's perfect, if that makes sense. That's who they find. Mm-hmm. But if I'm not doing my job, that's going to be the case in their focus. Mm-hmm. And they'll find somebody that wasn't doing their job. So the discernment, all these different types of things are critical in that stuff. And the strength, too, in that stuff, too. That's why, for me, it's like, it bothers me when I hear people saying that stuff, because it's like, you really just want somebody to find companionship? No. Try to, make
give
sure.
Whoever you find.
Yeah. So I think that's a great perspective, but it's to be respected, and it should be. But people just, man, they don't have a filter. Some people just, they're not smart. When I hear them like saying stuff like, "You're not married yet. You're not this," and I'm like, oh. Maybe we need to do classes on how people should approach things, because I really feel I see people and I'm like, but it's so funny though too, because it's like it's a powerful thing, because you really think about it. It's like, what are you saying in that? Like, you really want God to be in that decision. You really want God to be in that opportunity, and more than anything, you want God to have the strength in you that you see that. Because if you really see that and believe that, then that's the comfort of saying, all right, God, if this is my season right now, I know you're doing something. And that's strong. But it's if that's like a struggle that happens, because it's like, and then you have the people are like, I always say tías, but you always have the people who are like, oíste que se casó. And I'm like, because again, like, don't let the train pass, all these different things that are being said. It's like, look, God knows what he's doing. God, at the end of the day, has the final say in that stuff too. So, but good answer on that stuff too. And praying for, you're the youngest one. So I'm sure you got older sisters that are watching after you and doing that. Now, we were kind of funny. I was the youngest one, but when it came to my sisters, introducing people, we went into brother mode, right? And said, like, let's see what this guy really got. Let's see what he's made of. And we ran a lot of them off. They don't
have brothers, but they have Robert.
Okay. Wow, there you go. Robert.
He's like, who's that?
Yeah. That's good. But how about for you, sister? What's the thing in your life that you find that, like I mentioned, if it's a daily dragon that you're slaying, or challenges that you've had, something as far as to share testimony or anything like that, that's like, a personal one for you that you feel like it would be good to know.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just like what you said earlier, when you experience something, the way I see it is, if I experience something negative in my life, it's probably because God wants to use me in that area. Mm-hmm. And at the moment, you're like, I don't want to be used in this area. Like, this is hard.
Else.
Yeah.
Pick someone else.
But I mean, at the end of the day, God knows what he's doing, and he's, because I kind of feel like, so like, my husband and I, we've been married already going on 19 years. Mm-hmm. We've been through a lot, and a lot of it we haven't shared. But I know that there's going to be a time when that is going to be our, I'm going to say ministry. I think it's safe to say it's going to be our ministry. We're not at that point yet where we're ready to like share it all, but I'm pretty sure God took us through a lot of a long journey to be able to help others out. So
now question for y'all. I like that answer. That was a little bit more experience, Miss America.
No. That wasn't going to be my only answer.
Okay. No, because I was going to say this because I like the answer. The answer's good. You said it right, but I just want to ask this. I just want to
older Miss America. Is that what you're trying to say?
More experience. I just want
More experience.
I want to ask it from this standpoint because it sounds good, but how much of comments like that? Because I've experienced them too. Does shame still, or maybe a little bit, that you're not there yet in that?
I think is
some of it that because, like I've said that I've thought this before. Is some of it's like, well, my kids are still young, things like that starts coming up, right? But at the end of the day, those are some critical, malleable moments for them because then they're like, wow, okay, you guys really worked it through, or there's an appreciation in some of that. I feel like with my kids, as we had discussions with them as they were in that teenage years or whatever it was, they heard dad testify or whatever it is, that there was like, okay, it's not just it's one of those things where that's mentorship from a parent standpoint. It's going to be difficult. This is why you really want to make sure that God's always in the center in your relationship, so you find a place to get back to each other. Just go to the center, go where God's at. Your dad will meet me there, mom will meet me there. Like there's some critical things that I think that sometimes, because of our thoughts, we sometimes don't think about that. And I hear what you're saying, and I think it's awesome because we need that. The church needs that. There's people that are needing that.
Yeah, that's what we've talked about. Like there's a lot of things that the church doesn't address or doesn't talk about. 'Cause like she said earlier, taboo things that don't get talked about. But I don't know. I don't know if... I think God just moves everything in a way where it's going to be at the perfect timing.
It could be. It could be that too. But don't say it in that sense. If He's been saying the perfect timing's been there, it's
me that's not doing it.
I need you there now, though. But it's good that you're talking about it, because you might even just with this kind of conversation have inspire somebody to go to you.
And that's funny though, because I do have people that don't know, and they come and ask me for advice, and I'm like, who sent you my way? Like, what,
God.
And then they're like, I just felt like I could ask you, and it's like, okay,
that's good.
And
that's good, and that could be the slow opening for it. But I don't ever feel like you can't. That's the thing that people got to learn. It's like, okay, I remember the first time I stood up by the pulpit and I talked about pornography.
Yeah, that's a subject that's not
so taboo, right? And it's like, but look at the statistics. It's killing the church. It's the secret elephant, and unfortunately technology is changing. It's way worse. And so now it's a confusion aspect of it. Now it's all these different things. Now the experience that I have when I've with my kids, they didn't have an irate parent that was like, let's throw everything, get all this stuff. They're like, okay, let's sit down and talk about this. Okay, let's sit down, and first of all, I'm not going to shun you. I want you to understand, and had a very good conversation with them on it. And I could see the emotions. I could see the confusion of tears coming down of regret. I said, okay, now we're going to have to work through this. And I could feel the anger of saying, how, devil, could you have, could this have happened? Are there people out there that think that that's okay for small children to encounter that? And it's a sadness, right? It's a sadness. But I have to share that because there's probably parents that could have went through something like that. And if I don't share it, then they're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen?
It hasn't happened to anybody else. I'm the only one.
Right. So again, those type of things, I think, like for me, there's no shame of it. Somebody could say, well, somebody got in your castle. And I'm like, okay, well, you'd be very surprised that if God has me in this position to be able to announce that or say that, there's other people saying thank you because we went through something similar. We didn't know what to do. We didn't know an experience with it. So I think that we don't want to hold God back from moments like that too, and saying, look, if it was major, something like that. And again, it could be a lot of different things. Depression's one of them. Emotional stuff is going through like some of the stuff that you're talking about. If it's in marriage and how God's going to do it, then God will take you through that path. Now, you said it wasn't the only thing you were going to say.
No, I think one of my struggles, it's not a struggle right now, but when I stopped working, I felt like my purpose was over. Like I wasn't fulfilling my purpose. Yeah. my purpose in God and my purpose in life. Like I kind of felt, I don't say, I'm not going to say that I was depressed, because I don't think I was ever depressed, but I was like, I'm not doing anything. And so I think that I kind of found that again, like I'm serving again, kind of.
Yeah.
And so, because I kind of felt like, okay, I'm not doing anything.
So you're finding some purpose now in
finding
that?
Purpose in, what would be the word? Like, I'm not useless, I guess.
Yeah,
I can
okay.
help somebody.
Okay.
I can lift somebody up.
Yeah.
And for a long time, I felt like I wasn't doing anything. Like, even though I was doing something,
Yeah.
I felt like I was doing nothing.
Yeah.
Because I felt like a void, I guess. Like, okay, I stopped doing what I was doing, and now I'm not worth anything. Kind of like that.
Okay. And that's a major struggle. That's for a lot of people, and that can go through that journey. So I think that's good advice that people can come to you, because they might be looking for how to do that and how to steer into that. And there's probably some things that you can direct that based off of stuff that you're seeing. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think that's the beautiful thing about the sisters meeting too, is that there's some critical stuff that could be used for that. I think those are moments that you really can connect with somebody. Moms can connect with them. Younger people, can hear stuff and learn stuff. And I think that stuff's critical. And then you just keep on, it keeps on evolving towards God. That's the critical thing. It has to, evolve towards God.
Yeah.
If it's a conversation like that, how are you going to get to a position where you can be like that? Don't find yourself in that. Keep on fighting for that, even though it seems exhausting. You got to keep on fighting for a purpose. Don't lose a purpose. It's like they say, what's your why? You got to stay with that and find that and keep it. Yeah. Here's the reason I get up every day. I found it in the radio, for me, because I wasn't an early person. My dad passes away, and I'm like thinking, we got to keep on doing this, something that he started. And that's my why every morning, even if I'm not feeling well. I'm like thinking, if one person's listening was needing it, I got to get here to do it. And it's funny. It's really kind of crazy on how it's gotten me out of, situations where normally it would have been easy for me to just say, who's listening? We only have 7 people that listen this week. It's like, who cares? At the end of the day, God's, the purpose for it and the reason for it. How about for you, Sister Karen? What do you...
I still don't have my Miss America.
You don't have a Miss America? You don't? You're working on one? You don't have to give a Miss America. You can give a raw one. You can actually give the right answer. Finally, we're going to get somebody that says to stop the corruption in the world. What's the like? I mean, there's every one of us has something that's, the depth, the shadow, or whatever it is. If it's whatever it is, if it's an emotion, if it's a perception of how you feel people might look at you, whatever it is. Like for sisters, for young people. I always talk about, when I was very fortunate for 17 years to work with the youth, right? And I would be at the supermarket, and I would see all the teen magazines. As we're paying or doing stuff like that, I said, how sad is that a lot of them are thinking that that's what's real, and that's the struggle that they're having. I was talking about ones that were in public school, right? Because that was like, as we know.
I think it's harder now because, like, me growing up, I didn't have a cell phone.
Yeah, right. And now it's even, they think that that's real. They think that's real. Flipping up is real, or how many
likes,
followers that person has, whatever it is, right? And that's not real. Like, for me, it's like, what's real is being able to walk in a room and feel comfortable to go to anyone and start a conversation. That's real. Now I hear somebody saying, well, if they like my post, then I'm going to talk to them. I was like, that's not the way it used to be back in my day. Back in my day, we just walk in. If they looked at you, it was like, oh, you were going to talk. You were going to talk. It wasn't going to, you're not hurting anybody by doing that.
Yeah. And
so it was weird. Like, my wife were like, I don't know if we could handle this type of stuff right here, because it was different. That was different. But what do you see, like, in that's, like I said, your...
Yeah, so I mean, I'm not quite sure this is like exactly the question you were asking, but like, I guess a struggle, personal struggle to say. So I mean, as you grow up in church, you see a lot of things I mean, especially if you're involved, you know, because there's some people that just come and go and don't know the depths of what actually goes on, of what has to be done as well as, as leaders and serving and all the back stuff, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I guess seeing it with my parents and having it felt as well personally, and something that I would always, the devil always tries to put stuff to make you
discouraged and do all that.
But I would always see, like, one thing too is that, it's always, where you have to be better.
Yeah.
Perfect to say, you have to be the example, but then also serving people, and something that I was always, like, I guess, hurt or bother me is the people you help the most.
Hurt you the most.
Hurt you the most.
It's true.
And that was always something like, well, I'd rather not help anybody no more.
Yeah. It makes you want to shut down, yeah.
Like, stop that helping. Yeah. And I feel like I would struggle with that, and I felt like I don't help people. But I don't know how long ago it was. Like, we've gotten the privilege to, because of Kayla, she wanted to do a mission trip, and we've gotten the privilege to do that. So I tagged along, and I ended up, enjoying it. I needed that.
Yeah.
To say. And I'm not sure what the situation was, but my dad said, he voiced it out in front of somebody saying, Karen is the one that has the most giving. And I'm like, but I reserve myself in that.
Which Karen are you talking about now?
I'm like, me? No. Like, I reserve myself in that because of the hurt that has happened.
Yeah.
Of giving to people, and those people are the ones that hurt you.
Yeah.
And I guess that's something, that I've always, like, in my mind, like these people don't deserve help.
That's pretty powerful.
But then, in the day, like, that's what God gives you to help.
So very, very well said. And too much that is given, right? Much is owed, but too much that is given is also, the talent, version of it too, right? If God's giving you abilities and you're not using it, one day we're going to stand before him. But that's a struggle, right? Because it's like so many times that a non-appreciation's there, any of this stuff. And then you get to the Moses, right, with the rod, and I'm just going to hit the rock, even though God told me to speak to it. Because you get tired, right? You're like, I'm tired of, you get tired too, and that's a struggle, right? And so that's understandable, that whole mental influx, because it's grueling. And then you hear, like, comments from your sisters saying, yeah, but you're the rock, right? You got to be. And then you can feel that pressure too, right? It's one pressure to hear the stuff that you guys are all doing too, but then you hear that too, and it's like pressure. So where does that pressure go? Well, it's got to find a place to where it's got to go to, right? And God's the ultimate reliever of that. And I think that is chaotic, right? Because, people are always saying, well, how do you do this, and travel and do this and all that stuff? And it's like, I don't know. I don't, but, only God knows. And then you hear little comments like from the, my kids are like, well, you remember when you missed my birthday because you were in Germany? And you start to hear something, you're like, there was residual damages based off of some of that. And not everything's going to be perfect, right? But the thing you try to do the best is be led by God in everything that you're going to do. And I think that's critical, and that's an awesome thing to kind of find as much as you can. Now, I will tell you this, just some advice, because I heard this a lot from y'all in a little bit. I really think expose yourself more to people in a good way for who you are, because you guys are awesome. Feel comfort in doing that, because I think people need to get to know you. And sometimes you might think like, oh, they're thinking this of us, but it also could be you. Find yourself where you just, because it's awesome. I love seeing kids do that. Jeremias is awesome at that.
He will talk to
But
anybody and whoever.
But he's awesome on that. That's cool. That's good. He probably got that from Robert when Robert was younger too. Robert was like that when he was younger.
Was he?
Yeah, he would.
Because now he's kind of like.
Yeah, he's more reserved now.
He
but
waits for somebody to talk to him before. But once you talk to him.
Yeah, but I think but I think that's when he would get comfortable and stuff like that. Maybe when he was younger and around people. At least I saw that here in the church. But I was gonna say that maybe finding yourselves do that more will break down barriers quicker too for you. Just find yourself doing it, because I think you guys have something to say. As you can tell, we talked for 2.5 hours, so you have something to say, even though you might not feel you have something to say. So and especially now with some of the way people are seeing you here in the church and the ministries you guys are taking on and some of the stuff that you're doing, I think it's great. And that's kind of what we hope from this program too, that people get to know you a little bit more, so they can come up to you and, you know what, I kind of, I heard you say something and I feel, that sometimes I struggle with that, and I go through those type of things too. So, but it's awesome. I do appreciate the fact that you guys are, we're on and felt comfortable to be on, and hopefully this won't be the last time for y'all, that you guys can, have something. Here's what always happens. The most famous ones, I was thinking about saying this. Everybody will say it. Now you guys are going to say, no, I just want to get off this program. So I get that one too. But everybody started to say, it wasn't that as bad as it was. I wish I would have said this. And that's the opportunity that you guys will have, because that's this ministry. God has given us the ability to be able to have something documented that you can have and share. That's been one of the most amazing things. And you guys got the chance to learn from each other how some of y'all felt in certain things, because it doesn't seem like you guys talk much.
Like to each other?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about some depth stuff. Maybe it's more like, yeah.
Do we? I think we do.
Yeah, hold on a second. Let's. Do you really though? Because I think each one of y'all is a silo in certain stuff, probably with the pipe to the other silo. It's like, hey, I want to tell you this about this, but maybe on some more of the depth stuff. Like, do you guys feel like you guys are really getting into the?
Yeah, we do. It's just that we're always also busy.
Yeah.
Like,
we have our moments, I guess.
When it happens, like it does, but it's not like, I know like some people are like, oh yeah, every week. Like, when did that happen? Well, we haven't seen each other, so we haven't talked. But when we do get together and we do have that time, we do.
Maybe that's a different type of talk that I'm talking about.
He's talking about in-depth stuff.
Maybe,
maybe that's what I'm saying. Like, it's not
emotional. Like for you to share what you just shared a second ago, where you felt that.
Yeah, we
like,
do.
are you guys having those? You guys feel like you guys are having those? But are you guys feel like you guys are having those all the way across to each other?
So I think that we never have it like all three of us. I think it'll be me and her.
Okay.
Like her and her.
So you're the chismosa that shares everything.
No.
No. I was just joking.
Like, I don't know.
I think Karen's the one that's more open to talking about her stuff. No.
I think you're the more reserved.
I'm the more reserved.
Okay. Well, that's dangerous, though.
You're a danger.
From this standpoint right here, because you're at least able to release some of the stuff is, where maybe you haven't found that ability to do that, which you gotta find that, and I'm sure you guys can, because it seems like you guys all have a good head on your shoulders to be able to say, I'm feeling this.
But I think we notice. So like, if she doesn't tell me, I'll be like, hey, something's wrong.
Yeah.
What's wrong with you?
What's going
like,
on?
she'll talk more to Lila, so I'll be like, Lila, you need to talk to Kayla.
Yeah. So like, if I see, like, we see the way, things are happening, so I'll be like, something's wrong, even if she's not saying it.
Oh, okay.
And she might not tell me right there and then, but then a little later she'll be like,
That's
yeah.
good. Okay, so you do have
something is wrong.
My point on that is you do have an avenue for being. It seems like you all do.
Yeah.
You have an avenue. For
I don't have a problem talking. Like, I think I'm like just.
Is that true, Karen?
Yeah.
Because she pushed you into doing the first testimony round. Like here.
Because I didn't want to talk too much and then get myself in trouble. But I think I talk
she
too
talks.
much.
I mean, for everything she talks more.
You feel
I'm a little
comfortable
bit more reserved, but once I start talking, I start talking.
When she starts talking, I can't stop her.
Really? Well, that's good though, because again, I think you guys need to get to that. That's maybe a point too. You guys got to get to that comfort here, feeling that. It's great to see you guys on some of the events and you guys take the lead on them, you guys got to feel that. I mean, and I know it comes with time, especially when you guys mentioned some of the stuff too, if you hadn't been doing it for a little bit. But I'm hoping that you guys are starting to feel more. It feels like you guys are at least feeling more and more comfortable in that approach. Because, again, people got to experience the best, right, of y'all. And it's awesome, these stories, hearing about experiences with the kids or whatever it is. But I know, the reality is this, is that you guys, the devil's like a roaring lion, right? Mm-hmm. Seeking who he can devour. So as family members too, we can't just say, well, she's good. She's good.
Yeah.
No, you're not. How you're always good is like, I love this. I heard this I like to hear a lot of people that struggle with addictions and have done therapies and hearing like their life journeys and stuff like this. And I like this one right here for men. It's like there always needs to be like a checkup on someone. How you doing? Give me your diagnosis. Boom, 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 boom. You good with these things? And I think like in your guys' case, you guys probably do that. It sounds like, hey, like you said, check in or whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Because you guys should be like that. You guys should be caring about that. Because if you don't and it becomes selfish, then that's where somebody goes really into the dark. But when it's like, even when you're going through something, Kayla, you're over here thinking about your sister. Or maybe something that was said today is like makes you think about something. I need to be more available. Does that make sense? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel like it sometimes. Like if I hear one of my, one of the siblings talking about something, I'm like, I need to be more available. I should send more messages or do that stuff. That's God working in moments. Mm-hmm. Like if my antenna's up, if my antenna's not up, then I'm not getting that from God. I'm like, no, I got so much stuff I got to do right now. I got to go do these things. And I totally forgot about something that was said, if I'm a sibling.
Yeah.
But I think that's a powerful thing because you guys are stronger together for sure, right? Mm-hmm. And you've been a blessing to your families. And I know God's going to bless you guys tremendously. Anything you guys want to send off, any kind of desires, prayers? Kayla, we'll start with you. If you just have anything you want to say goodbye to, just to the people that were listening, anything that you have,
to all my new followers.
Yeah, aspirations or anything like your own radio program at what time? Thursday nights or what is it?
I think the new thing is what are they, vlogs?
Oh, podcasting.
Podcasts, whatever they are. Mm-hmm. I'll be starting my new podcast. Please follow me. No, just kidding.
That's funny. I'm surprised little Lorenzo hasn't.
He's still sleeping.
Yeah, he's still sleeping right now. Later on, he's like, "Oh man, I should have got into the chat and promoted mine."
No, well, thank you for the opportunity to come in and just be open about our lives.
Yeah. Anything you're wanting prayer for, or any kind of thing that you've got a desire for, and some of the stuff we were talking about more that you see yourself even here at church that you want to ask a special little prayer for. Even something in the conversations we were having here that kind of reminded you, you know what? I do need to, God's kind of put that always in my heart for that. Anything you could think of?
Yeah, I guess just to be a little bit more open or like go up to people and talk to them and see.
You're part of it. I hope that's, for me, again, in watching over and seeing stuff, that's how you gauge, people's comfort is like, you're part of it. This is your home. Those every one of those rooms is your home. When you don't feel like it is, then that's concerning, right? Because you got to feel like that. If you're feeling like you're staying in an Airbnb right now,
you got to be able to go open the fridge.
Yeah, you got to be able. It's your home. It's your home. So start treating it like the way you would. Now, there's some people that you won't say that to. It's like, it's not your home. Pick up after yourself and go watch the video, whatever it is. But in this case right here, like you're saying, feel comfortable enough to feel like it's your home, and people will start opening up from that standpoint right there. How about for you, Sister Karen?
Anything I guess, you want to be able to be, like you say, more open and be able to serve in anything and everything. Any capacity? We can help in, to be a blessing to everybody.
Because you can feel it. Like I said, for y'all, it's like you already had the mindset of wanting to serve. It's just like don't serve like it's not yours. Because, man, when you start to serve like it's yours, it's different. It's not serving anymore. It's yours. It's like, this is ours. This is our families. This is our kids in the future. That to me is like amazing. You know, if it's like, then it's like people in general, they don't understand that. And you see that beauty when people because people, they just were raised in that aspect of it, but never understood the capacity of it's theirs. And this is, you know, all aspects of it. Feeling comfortable even to mention stuff like on the radio and saying, hey, it'd be great, you know, to do something like this or that's great. I love that. I love that type of dynamic or conversation with somebody.
Yeah, because it's like getting that full passion back.
Yeah, yeah. And like you said, you guys made sense in talking about it because if it was dormant for a little bit, asleep, then that's understandable. But now, awaken it. Mm-hmm. And there's people that are probably going to, it's awesome already to see, there's people that are going to want to jump on and do it because of that example and doing that stuff too. So find yourself in that. Sister?
I'm at a loss for words.
The best for last. Before you, the most important person right now in my life, my wife. I love hearing these beautiful sisters' testimonies. It's been a blessing getting to know them, and I look forward to getting to know more about them in the future. God bless them. Amen. So there you go. You got already somebody that wants to break bread, and they don't drink coffee, babe. So you're gonna have to find something else. But it sounds like maybe open to some like frost drinks, some protein, some boba. No.
Not really.
What? You know what that is? I don't know.
I mean, I've had it like once in my life.
Okay.
I don't even know what it is.
Yeah. Okay. Because my daughter and my wife, my daughters, because Nina too, they like that. They like the boba drinks and stuff like that. So it's kind of just a cold. Is it a Japanese? I think it might be Japanese, right?
Yeah. Little squishy
yeah, they have a
balls?
little, what is it, wax things or whatever. They're not wax, like jellies. But anyways.
Well,
there's a lot of hearts coming for the boba. When I started saying boba, everybody started hearting that one up. So there's some boba fans apparently in there.
Try it then.
Yeah.
I want to thank, the leaders of the church because I know it's not easy. Like you said, it's your home. So to let somebody in your house and like get stuff done, and like just to trust us with, like, for me, big thing is the school. Like, it happened so fast. It was just like, hey, let's start a school. Hey, okay, let's do it, And so, like, for you to trust me, to be able to do that means a lot. It's humbling, like, to say, okay, like, like they actually said yes. Like, now we gotta get this done, Yeah. But I mean, for me, it's a privilege. It's kind of a dream. Since I got married and I didn't even have kids yet, and I told my husband, when we have kids, like, we have to have a school for them, and he was like, yeah, whatever. But I don't think he ever fully understood it either. And then as the years, it was always on my mind. Yeah. Like, we got to start a school. Like, our kids need a school, and actually the way I started homeschooling was like, my husband was like, that's God, like, for you to be able to start homeschooling, that's the beginning of it. But it was still a process, right, until we got here. But it's a dream, and it became reality. And so I just want to thank you all that you all were part of that and allowing me to do that.
I'm excited to see where it goes because I know how God works, and I've seen God work. Yeah. Just the personal experiences of it, and there's nothing too big for him.
Oh yeah.
At all. And I say that for his glory, literally. For us, a lot of people, just don't understand that that's really where a lot of the faith is rooted at. It's like, that not worrying what tomorrow's going to bring, just because he already has things figured out. And I think that that's what I'm really excited for. And you look for people, you look to be a magnet, and other people want to attach to that, getting excited that way. And there's some that won't. And there's some that take time, right? They got to get closer to that. But, I look for people that's their high, is God. Is like, their faith. It's like he's gonna do. I look for that. That's like, I don't want to be around people that aren't like that. Like my desire is always like, okay, let's talk crazy. Can we talk crazy? Is somebody in the room to talk crazy? Like something that God can do, like dream God, because He can fulfill it. But again, some people are like, oh, so it's been all these years and all that stuff. Is like, because maybe it's not His will that. So keep on dreaming it.
Yeah.
Keep on asking God to guide you in that. Because again, that's the number one mistake right there. Is like, I've been wanting this stuff, and it's like, it's God wanted that. And now you can see it's like you're in that season now where that's starting to happen, and we want to, because it's a blessing for God's ministry, first of all, and that's part of it too.
Yeah, it's just to see all the kids from when we started to now. A lot of them have made major progress.
That's awesome.
And some of them don't see it. Like I'll tell some of them like, hey, like I remember when, and they're like, no, like, and I'm like, yes, you've made. Right. I mean, I see it. I see awesome. The big difference from when you started. Now this is speaking academically, but also I think spiritually, like for my kids, they still got a lot of growing up to do, right? But I've seen a major difference in them. Oh, awesome. Just maturing in things and changing in things and just going through the process of.
They talk to you guys. They talk to you about that much, or talk to any of the aunts about that stuff, how they feel now.
So like, Robert and I try to be very open with them. Like we talk to them about everything. But yeah, I mean, we just had a conversation recently of how, like, what the impact is from the school and just from our move to this church, just different things like that. And they've grown a lot. Like, I mean, obviously we see them at home. We know how they were and what they were doing and where they're at now. But I mean, it's been a blessing. It's
great.
Been a very big blessing.
That's an important thing right there, right? Because that's your goal. Is right now is that you have them. Yes. Is you got to establish something in them. They've got to really find their why. Yeah. Because there's so many people trying to pull them to other whys.
Yes.
And so I'm sure as aunts too, and for all your, because it seems like you guys are pretty connected with. They're
very involved in my kids' lives.
Like, I know. I bet.
I mean, they have a game. They're there. They have.
That's awesome.
Conventions are there. Yeah. Like they've always been very. Even when they lived in El Paso, they were still find a way to be involved.
That's crazy.
In
yeah, that's
life.
great. Yeah. That's the way. That's pretty awesome. But I'm sure that type of influence too in their lives too is like that comforting, that they can have that support, and especially when the support is always directed towards God, if you can on that stuff too. Yeah. But the big butt, right? The big butt didn't sound right. But the big takeaway. There you go. The big takeaway is is just the improvement, right? Is like we want to get better and be better, and not be the reason somebody doesn't get to experience Christ. Yes. And it could be for many weird reasons too, right? It doesn't like I think about that a lot. It saddened me. I heard from someone that was visiting here, didn't get a chance. He kind of felt like nobody came to them. And when I heard that, I was like, that's sad. Yeah. It's not good. And how do we miss that? How are we not searching for that person? If it's for a lot of different reasons, right? But this opens up opportunities too, because now people get to know you a little bit more as they listen to it. And now it's like, hey, I didn't know that, or hey, I also like forensics. Stuff like that. I kind of thought about that. Whatever it is that opens it up, just find that opportunity now to share with people. That's awesome. But I thank you. I really do thank y'all for being on. I know. It wasn't as bad as you guys thought it was, right? Well, here in the next hour, we're gonna get into the depths of it. You guys thought the Miss America.
Real stuff
Kayla
now.
was like, did he really just go Miss America? That's one of my famous sayings back in youth. It was like, don't give me a Miss America answer. Read the Bible, pray more. I was like, come on, get into some depth, right, of whatever it is. Gabby and always remembers that. And Melanie, they'll tell you about the stories where I was like, don't be giving me no Miss America answers. Let's talk about really what's needed. But I really do thank y'all for being on and supporting it. And again, if you guys think of some stuff or maybe some things to talk about in the future, you guys want to get together and do that. I think it'd be kind of nice to have your mom next time. That's just my personal opinion. It'd be kind of here.
Us three and my mom?
Yeah, I think it'd be kind of neat to see that dynamic too. To see what's going on. But your dad warned me before he got on, says, be nice because they're, gentle flowers. No, he knew when we talked about it. It was funny too because he asked me the same, just so you guys know. He was like, what are we talking about? What's the subject? The topic? And I said, I don't know. And I didn't know today either. It's like, I don't, because God knows everything. And if we let him lead us, then it's perfect, right? So, but I do thank y'all for that. Thank y'all for all those that tuned in today and are going to be tuning in later, like little Lorenzo, because he wakes up later now. He's been up already. So, but God bless everyone, and we thank y'all for being with us, and God bless y'all for being on the program too. So, of course, with the song, we're going to dismiss ourselves. Este el día, and thank y'all for tuning in, and be blessed today.